after qualifying 7th. He was up at the front in the last heat race. He's had a lot of pace. He just went purple. Max Taylor now resets that with a 1:15.0, and it looks like him and Austin Olds are working together to be able to catch that front 4 group. Not sure if they're going to be able to make it in time. They've got about 9/10 to clean up. But as it looks like, oh, we've got another big.
Oh my, that's one off in the I-70 corner. Well, the yellow flags are waving. Those corner workers are waving them very aggressively. So something big must have happened down there in turn number 1. But that's going to put Eli Warren to the point with Max Taylor up into the 3rd spot. I think that might have included Ayrton Grimm, because Ayrton Grimm, yeah, that looks like Ayrton Grimm off in turn number 1, as well as, I'm not sure who that is. It's very far away from us. But anyway, some leaders getting taken out in that exchange. But still, Eli Warren and John Antonino up at the front. Max Taylor's up into the 3rd spot from falling back to about 6th place on lap number 2. So he's starting to make his comeback right now as we've come here to round out lap number 4. We got about 4 corners to go here. Scale corner is up next for us as we have Eli Warren and John Antonino working together to try and pull away from the rest of the field. John Antonino is running with the Race Factory program with Delta Sport on the side of his cart as we head through the last corner here to finish out lap number 4.
Yeah, and it looks like we've lost Anthony Rivera as well from that lead group, and so that is not how.
No, I think Anthony Rivera is still right there, but I'm pretty sure we lost.
Yeah.
It looks like, I want to say Ayrton Grimm was involved in that, as long as one other driver up at the front.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Grimm was the one that really got caught out by it. I mean, he looked like he went way off in turn 1. So far off that we couldn't even see him, and so that is not what Grimm wanted to do. Obviously, yesterday he was able to lead laps, ended up in 7th in the heat race, so he's going to have to start fairly deep in this race as well because of the incident.
Got a change for the lead there. John Antonino has put himself to the point with Eli Warren back to 2nd there, I think, in the red 171 hairpin, so super impressive from John Antonino. He's probably the smallest driver out there, but he is at the front, so super impressive to see him running up at the front like that.
Yeah, and it looks like now you've got Max Taylor and Austin Olds really catching up to that second or to the front group now. Top 4 are going to be coming together pretty soon, I would imagine. Eli Warren, though, has done a nice job of kind of just being patient in this race. He's run first, he's run second, he's been up there the whole time, though. John Antonino, though, this is his moment at the moment. He's leading this race now. He's got probably what looks to be about 3, maybe 4 laps to go, but certainly you've got to be patient here, as Eli Warren's not going to do that. He's going to go right back to the lead coming through, try to make the lead.
John Antonino's not going to make it easy, though. He kind of pinched him down there and made Eli Warren lift. We got cars off the track here in the last corner, as we see here. That looks like
Wesley
green
Goomler.
helmet. Yeah, I want to say, yeah. I think that's him, but still the leaders are going after it. They're side by side through the Monza. John Antonino's going to retake the lead as Max Taylor's going to follow him through for 2nd, as well as Austin Olds. We haven't talked much about Austin Olds this race, but he is up into that lead group, up into 3rd place. But though John Antonino has got himself about a 2-car length gap, Austin Olds up into the 2nd position here. He's working on Max Taylor. Max Taylor's back to 3rd with Eli Warren all the way back to 4th. Tides have changed here as Eli Warren was going for the lead at the beginning of this lap, and now he's all the way back to 4th. John Antonino, though, back to the lead. He's going to try and build himself a little bit of a gap to Austin Olds, but Austin Olds is fast. He is right up back onto John Antonino as he went purple last time by about 4/10 to John Antonino, so they are working together well. Him and Max Taylor caught that lead pack, and they are now trying to get through on John Antonino. They have already gotten by Eli Warren as we have 2 corners to go here to round out the 6th lap. We're going to have about 3 laps to go.
We've got a cart in the barrier coming through the scale corner. We'll have to get a number on that one, but certainly not how you want to crash in that corner. Obviously now let's say come down into turn 1. It looks like Austin Olds is going to be content to stay in 2nd. He's worked his way all the way up from 9th on the grid to get himself into the front 2. He's worked well with Max Taylor as well, who had to come back from an earlier mistake. Eli Warren out the back of that group. Obviously, we saw on the front straightaway last lap, tried to make a move for the lead, did not quite work. Now it looks like Austin Olds
to the lead in the red 171 hairpin. John Antonino back to 2nd, but John Antonino is not giving it up as he goes around the outside through the kink right there and takes the lead back away from Austin Olds. Austin Olds had it for about a 2nd there, but John Antonino is not giving it up, and John Antonino's got himself a little bit of a gap now with Max Taylor up into P2. That's going to put Austin Olds to the back of that 4-cart train as they're going to try and run down our leader here, John Antonino. We're going to have 2 laps to go this time by. The double sticks are going to be in the air. John Antonino is still trying to hold them all off. This is kind of like what we saw in the Master Shifter race with Evan Batt and Joe Rook. Joe Rook had to hold off Evan Batt. Evan Batt was a lot faster, but Joe Rook made it stick and was able to get the win there. John Antonino is doing the same here. Every time someone tries to pass him, he attacks him right back and takes the lead back over from him. We'll see if he'll be able to do that the next 2 laps with Max Taylor closing in quickly here with Eli Warren. Eli Warren's going to go for the pass for second place. Not sure if I would have done that there because they want to catch the leader here. They don't want to battle for the second position, but it's going to work for Eli Warren as he's right up to the bumper of John Antonino with that draft. It's going to work for him. We'll go into the Monza here and see if Eli Warren can make a move for the lead. John Antonino is going to protect it as Max Taylor's right there in third, though. Austin Old's starting to fall back a little bit. Maybe his tire pressures were a little bit too high as we go 3 wide into the red 171 hairpin. Oh. Max Taylor hits John Antonino really hard. John Antonino's going to give him a little bit of a swerve right there. Max Taylor's not giving it up, though. Max Taylor might have his bumper in after the hit that he took right there in the red 171 hairpin.
Yeah, I don't know what they put in the water up at Race Factory today, but certainly their drivers have been really aggressive defending, and it's worked so far until now. Max Taylor is able to find himself up in the lead. Antonino's going to push his way, but not quite able to get. He settles back up into second at the moment, but that front four have been really aggressive throughout this lap. Now it looks like Taylor has a little bit of breathing space. Antonino going to defend maybe into the scale tower corner. And that's going to allow for a big amount of separation from Max Taylor. Might put him out of drafting range just by the time they get up into turn 1. But certainly this has been a pretty interesting lap here. Antonino put it on a clinical defensive show.
As Max Taylor gets the black flag pointed at him here for that hit that he gave to John Antonino in the red 171 hairpin. John Antonino is fighting back, though. John Antonino has about a cart length of space to take up the inside, and he takes it all as he goes back to the lead. He is not giving this one up easy, but Eli Warren's trying to go the inside here, not going to make it happen. Austin Old's trying to go around the outside and make something happen, but he's still going to have to settle for fourth in that corner. Max Taylor, this is about a reap. This is the exact same thing that happened last lap. Max Taylor's right behind John Antonino, gives him a check, and he's going to still, though, John Antonino's going to take the lead here as we go into the green corner. We got about 6 karts here battling for the lead. This is a super tight race here for the KA Junior field. Super competitive as we go through the kink here. John Antonino's blocking the inside, not going to let anyone get up the inside of him. As we head into the cell tower, he's going to check him up here, and still taking the lead is John Antonino. He's got about 5 or 6 corners to go here. He's got himself a little bit of a gap built up as we head through the blue corner here. Still, Eli Warren in second with Max Taylor following closely behind in third as they're going to race for second place. I think this is going to give John Antonino the win in heat race number 2 here for the KA Juniors as we're coming to the checkered flag here. John Antonino is going to take the win, I'm pretty sure, as long as nothing goes wrong in this last corner with Eli Warren in second. Yep, John Antonino is going to take the heat race win in heat race number 2. Super impressive from John Antonino. Battled a little bit of adversity as people tried putting the pressure on him, but he held strong and took the heat race win with Eli Warren coming home in second. Max Taylor in third, Austin Olds fourth, with Charlie Steins rounding out your top 5. Super impressive from Charlie Steins and Anthony Rivera to get up to that lead pack. They definitely have the pace come pre-final time later today, so we'll have to see what they're able to do. Luke Powers finishes 7th. Aiden Patty finishes 8th. Davin Roberts finishes 9th, and Ryan Miller rounds out your top 10 here in the KA Junior Division with the Stars Championship Series.
Yeah, and obviously this couple really good runs through the field. Luke Powers went from 22nd to 7th. He'll probably start pretty far up there in the pre-final. That front group has been very aggressive. John Antonino put on a clinic of defensive driving. We're going to see how that shakes up in the pre-final. But in the meantime,
next up is going to be the Rock and Pro Stars category. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. You're watching Kart Chaser live here from the King of the Castle. We'll see you shortly.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere. Try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun, sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com. And one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
Odenthal Racing Products, your #1 producer in engine mounts since 1992, along with our leading-edge designs and product development, such as the Odenthal Racing Products EasyGP camera mount, which comes in 4 different styles and can be used on any karting platform. See our products online. Go to odenthalracing.com.
We got our last heat race here today. It's going to be the Pro Shifter and the Pro Stars and the Pro. I think that's the Rock Stars are the Rock Stars. The Rock Shifters are going to go out here for the second heat race of the day. As we got one off already in the grass. I think he's going to stall his motor. Nope, he kept it running. He's going to go through the grass here. We'll see if he's able to get that thing going again. But it's going to be Talon Yockel rolling off in first. I'm pretty sure that's Calvin Ming right behind him in second, with Andy Rule rounding out your top three here for the Pro Stars heat race number 2. Andy Rule was able to get the win yesterday. Talon Yockel had a rough start, went all the way back to, I think it was 7th place. So he's going to have to try and get a better start today if he wants to get that heat race win. But Andy Rule took the win yesterday in the first heat race for the Pro Stars. I think we might have to rename the trophy the Queen of the Castle, since she's a girl, and the current name is King of the Castle. So we'll see if she's able to get another heat race win here today and put herself on the point for the pre-final later today.
Yeah, certainly Andy Rule's had a lot of pace this weekend. I mean, if she wins this whole thing, you might have to rename the whole entire event next year, the Queens of the Castle, and see what happens with it. But certainly, looking at the front of the grid, you've got Talon Yockel and Calvin Ming. Obviously, Yockel had a really rough start yesterday, dropped through the field. Got Annie Rule again, starting P3 where she was yesterday, able to make it work yesterday. We'll see if she can make it work again. Parker DeLong in P4. Vincenzo Saraceno had a really nice race to get up to second yesterday. Ian Quinn in P6, he'll start P6. Zach Frank 7th, Josh Conker P8, Blake Hunt P9, and Kyle Kennedy running at your top 10.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure the whole shot's going to be really important in this race because these shifters, it's hard to pass. So whoever gets the best start already gets to a head start here. So we got about 18 or 20 carts here getting ready to roll as we come to the tram lines, getting in their starting boxes and getting ready for this F1 style start as we put the visors down. F1 style start, here we go.
Yeah, it looks like as they go to the lights now, 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light. Lights out, and we're away. It looks like Yockel got a better start than yesterday. He's into the lead. It looks like Annie Rules found herself up into P2. She's going to go immediately to the lead. It looks like she's going to try to pass her Magic Card teammate coming through turn 1. Is she going to be able to make it sick? They're side by side. It looks like Rules got it. Yockel's got an issue. He's in the grass. He's all the way down to probably 12th or 15th already. Now there's more contact.
3 carts on top of each other there as we go through the Monza. But Yockel, once again, not a good start. This time he got the whole shot, but then made a mistake and went wide in the Monza. So he's all the way back to 7th once again. As Calvin Ming, no, that's Parker DeLong. Parker DeLong took the lead yesterday, and he's going to take the lead again today. Puts Annie Rule back into P2. I think that might be Nathan Nicholson off the track right there in the Monza. Tough break for him as he finished, I'm pretty sure, 2nd place in the shifter category, the rock shifter category yesterday. So that's a tough break for him. That's going to put him near the back in the pre-final. But that's Parker DeLong out front, leading by a good bit right now. Super impressive for his first shifter race to be leading this super competitive field of shifters as we head through the last 2 corners to complete this first lap. Vincenzo Saraceno's up to 3rd. And I want to say that's Blake Hunt up into the 5th place. Super impressive from him as well. Calvin Ming's all the way back to the tail end of that field after starting in the top 3. I'm pretty sure he started on the front row. So that's a tough break for him as well. The front row just does not get any luck here as Annie Rules all the way up to Parker DeLong. Parker DeLong must have made a mistake there in the I-70 as we head through the Monza here. Annie Rules going to be looking to make a move here shortly and get that lead and try and pull away from Parker DeLong.
Yeah, it looks like Ian Quinn made a move into P3 on Vincenzo Saraceno. Saraceno was able to cross him back over into P3 as well. Now Blake Hunt trying to get in the action as well. Now P6, I think that's Calvin Ming as well, getting up into P4 briefly. Now, though, I mean, they're battling all the way up the hill now. And you can see it's allowed Saraceno to get clear into P3. Behind him, though, I mean, you've got Ian Quinn now. It was like he's a little bit in the clear. But now looking back up front, you've got DeLong and Rule right up there in P1 and P2. DeLong's been able to control the race so far. Obviously, new to the shifter category. He's shown a lot of pace this weekend. We'll see how it gets to him over the course of the race. He goes a little bit wide coming out of the scale tower corner. That's going to allow Rule to be right up on his bumper coming out of the final couple corners. Now we'll see coming down the straight if Rule's going to have the opportunity to make a pass coming into turn 1. We saw her make a move on Yockel on lap 1, turn 1, but it didn't quite stick for the lead to allow DeLong to get back through. Now DeLong goes defensive into turn 1. Really aggressive defensive there, and it's going to allow for Rule to cross him over and get into the lead. Really don't know if that was a smart move by Parker DeLong, but he's right back on her bumper. We'll see if he can get the position back as they head over to the scoreboard. Really, though, Annie Rule wasted no time once she got back up to the bumper. Parker DeLong making that move, making it stick, and getting into the lead.
Yeah, Annie Rule's obviously showing her pace right now. Parker DeLong struggling to keep up with her, and he's only been behind her for about 2 or 3 corners. So we'll see if she's able to extend that gap as we continue throughout this race into the cell tower. Annie Rule with about 3 kart lengths over Parker DeLong. Super impressive from her as she's started from about, I think, the 2nd row, and she's been able to take the lead in both heat races yesterday and today as we watch Talon Yockel trying to make his way back up through the field. He's up into 5th now behind Ian Quinn and Vincenzo Saraceno. Hopefully he'll be able to make his way back up into the top 3 and get himself a decent starting position because he's had some bad starts so far this weekend. We'll see if in the pre-final he'll be able to make that up. As we finish lap number 3, Annie Rule is in the lead. Vincenzo Saraceno just went purple, though, but then Talon Yockel took it back from him. Talon Yockel's about a ½ second faster than Annie Rule that last time by. We'll see if he'll be able to make it up throughout the course of this race. We still got about 6 or 7 laps left to go. So we'll see what we're able to do as we continue throughout this race.
Yeah, I mean, Yockel had the fastest lap yesterday. He started on pole. He's had a lot of pace this weekend. But like you said, just the starts, the first lap, just being able to keep things consistent, keep things clean. Been a bit of an issue, but he's up to 5th now. He's all the pace. He's closing in on Ian Quinn now. I would expect him to get that move done pretty soon. In the meantime, though, looking back up front, you've got Parker DeLong struggling to keep up with Annie Rule a bit, although it's kind of stagnated a little bit in that gap over the last lap or so, and now focusing back in on Quinn and Yockel. It looks like Yockel is just able to get all over Ian Quinn, and I expect that that move's going to be done pretty soon. Yockel last lap was almost ½ a second clear of what Ian Quinn was able to do, and I mean, looking ahead of them, I mean, obviously Vincenzo Saraceno is the only guy in the same zip code as Yockel from a pace standpoint. He's been able to close up to the front 3 front 2 quite a bit, and specifically up to Parker DeLong. He's now only about 3 kart lengths or so behind DeLong, is now focusing back in on that top 5. Looks like Yockel's going to make the move on Quinn coming into turn 1. Nice and easy on the brakes. Looks like he's got it. Is Quinn going to try and fight him back? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Yockel's found his way back up into P4, which is a nice recovery drive after what we saw early on in the race where he dropped back all the way to probably about 9th or 10th.
Yeah, impressive comeback from Talon Yockel as he makes his way up into the 4th position past Ian Quinn. He's going to try working on Vincenzo Saraceno and Parker DeLong now as he has about a second gap to them, so he's got some work to do, but we still got a lot of time in this race as Annie Rule is still stretching out her lead there as we go over the hill and into the cell tower corner back here as Parker DeLong's starting to get defensive with Vincenzo Saraceno. We'll see if he'll be able to keep him behind for a few more laps here as we have about 4 or 5 laps left to go in this race as Annie Rule is just still stretching out the lead. Talon Yockel still trying to catch up as he went purple last time by as well, but not quite as fast. He was only 2.5 tenths faster than Annie Rule, so if he keeps up that pace, he will not be able to catch up to her. So he's going to need to go a little bit faster than that, but he's sliding through these last few corners, trying to make his way back up the field. We'll see if he'll be able to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the pace that Parker DeLong and Saraceno ran the last lap, they're just not quite quick enough. Between Rule and Yockel, it looks like Yockel might not be able to get up there, but he'll certainly get in the battle for second before long. Just did a 107.2 on that last lap. That is really quick, 3.5 tenths clear of what Annie Rule was able to do up in the lead. So we now focus on Talon Yockel coming through the Monza corner into the scoreboard. He's shown a lot of pace all weekend long. Goes a little bit wide there, but anyways, Saraceno is right on the bumper. DeLong now kind of loses a little bit, but DeLong's done a nice job of holding the position. Even if he doesn't quite have the pace of anyone else in the top 4, he's been able to stick it up there, stay consistent, and hasn't lost too much ground to Annie Rule. He's still within striking distance if anything too crazy happens. As they come around the cell tower into double lefts, you can see now just how much Yockel is continuing to close up. I mean, he has been driving a couple 2 to 3 tenths quicker than what Saraceno or anybody's been able to do throughout this entire race. He's been able to drop Ian Quinn, Blake Hunt, anyone else that's behind him. And now as we focus on the end of the lap, now it looks like Saraceno still cannot quite get by Parker DeLong. Maybe that'll change up coming into turn 1, but certainly DeLong's holding up Saraceno, I would say, and it's allowing Yockel to get pretty close to them now. And within a lap or so, I think he's going to be right there. Saraceno finally attempts to move. DeLong gives him a little bit of space, and it allows Saraceno to get through for the lead coming through turn 1, or for P2 into turn 1. Saraceno up to P2, DeLong back to P3 after leading the race earlier. Is he going to try to make it back coming into the scoreboard? He's going to go for it. Saraceno with a late defensive move keeps the position. All of that's going to allow Talon Yockel to get right up to them coming through green corner. And now you have a 3-kart battle for second with Annie Rule a little ways up in the distance in P1.
Yeah, Andy Rule still pulling away as Vincenzo Saraceno makes that move up into P2. We'll see if he'll be able to run down Andy Rule as he's already closing that gap. Only been out front, only been in second place for about 4 or 5 corners now, but he's fast. So we'll see if he'll be able to make that time up. We're going to come to the sticks this time by. I'm pretty sure we got about 15 seconds left on the clock. We'll see if they make it to the sticks before they make it across the line. As Andy Rule is leading this race, we got about 7 seconds to go. This is going to be close as we come across the line. 4, 3, 2, 1. They're going to make it with about 1 second. So 3 laps left to go in this race. Vincenzo Saraceno closing that gap. I'm sure Andy Rule wishes that the the 2 to go had came out that lap, because Vincenzo Saraceno is closing that gap, and he's closing it fast as Andy Rule's starting to fall off a little bit here. Still, Talon Yockel on the bumper of Parker DeLong. Parker DeLong is getting gapped by Vincenzo Saraceno. Saraceno went green last time by. Still Yockel purple, but Yockel's getting stuck behind Parker DeLong now. Parker DeLong going on the defensive as we watch the battle for the lead here. It looks like Andy Rule and Vincenzo Saraceno bumper to bumper as we go through the kink and up into the over the hill and into the cell tower. Vincenzo Saraceno, will he make a move? Not yet. We're going to stay behind. This time by, we're going to have 2 laps to go as we come across the line here. Still, though, Andy Rule leading
Yockel
this
grinding
race.
through the double Fs now. He's going to get up into P3. Now he finally has some clear space to make the move. Now it looks like Rule and Saraceno are up at the front, but now Yockel, anything goes on between those two, he's going to be able to get up into that battle at this point, because Yockel has made his way from about P10 all the way up to P3 now. And as they come to 2 to go, it's still Andy Rule up at the front. She's got Vincenzo Saraceno, who's closed her down from about a second back, and already it's right on her bumper. As they come into turn 1, he's going to make a dive, and oh, Rule's got issues. Rule's off and coming through the I-70 corner. She gets back on, but it looks like she's lost about 5 spots now, all the way down to P5. I believe that's Ian Quinn getting all the way through. Something happened under braking for her coming into the first corner. I don't know if it was a threat of Saraceno or what, but now Vincenzo Saraceno's in the lead. Andy Rule's dropped back to 5th, and it won't make too much of an impact on her starting position, but she was looking in the clear to get on pole, and now that's been taken away from her coming through turn 1.
Yeah, unfortunate for Andy Rule there in turn 1. Not sure what happened to her, but she's fallen back to 5th position, so that's going to hurt her in the pre-final starting positions, as Vincenzo Saraceno has a clear lead by about a second over Talon Yockel, and Vincenzo Saraceno has a lot of pace here as we come to what I'm pretty sure is the checkered flag. Or no, we got 1 lap to go here as we come across the line, so we'll see if Vincenzo Saraceno can hold on to this lead. Still, though, Talon Yockel's trying to close that gap as we come across the line here. No, this is going to be 1 lap to go here as we come across the line. Still, the top 3 super spread out. 4th place, Ian Quinn. 5th place, Andy Rule. Calvin Ming putting the pressure on Andy Rule for that 5th position. We'll see if he'll be able to make a move here on this last lap. But Vincenzo Saraceno is the headline for this race. He has got a good gap back to Talon Yockel, our pole sitter, who had an issue on the first lap and has been clawing his way back through the field to try and get this heat race win and put himself in a good starting position for the pre-final later today, as the sun is coming out here in Newcastle. It is getting sunny out here, and this track is getting faster lap by lap by lap.
Yeah, now that's going to mean that Talon Yockel is probably going to start on the front row for the final. It means Vincenzo Saraceno is going to start on the pole for the final, or for the pre-final, if things remain the same. And I mean, that was a really tough break for Andy Rule now on the last lap coming into turn 1. Really could have gone past by Saraceno, but certainly at worst, you're talking about a 2nd place finish and a pole position for the pre-final. Now she'll probably have to start 3rd or 4th, I believe, depending on how Calvin Ming finishes up. And so as they coming through the final section, Vincenzo Saraceno, looks like he's been caught a little bit by Talon Yockel on this last lap, but nowhere near enough to make a difference. It's going to be Saraceno taking the win, and I believe the pole for the pre-final. Yockel into P2. Meanwhile, further back, Parker DeLong going really defensive on the last lap. He's going to be able to hang on against Ian Quinn. Then it's Andy Rule able to salvage the 5th place finish. Calvin Ming in 6th. Blake Hunt finishes 7th. Then you got Josh Conker in P8. Gavin Ivey in P9, and Blake Korth, the local, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, that was a good race. Interesting for the lead as Vincenzo Saraceno got it with about 2 laps to go there. Andy Rule must have made a mistake or something happened in I-70 that put her back to the 5th place. She's not going to be happy about that one as you see her going really slow on this cool-down lap. But still, Vincenzo Saraceno won that race fair and square with Talon Yockel coming home in 2nd position. We'll see what the pre-final has in store for us as we go next. It's pre-final time as we're going to have the 206 stars up next. You're watching Car Chaser. We'll be right back.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
The sun is coming out here in Newcastle. We got the KA Stars B pre-final right now coming up next. I was mistaken. I thought it was the 206 Stars, but we do have a B pre-final before we get started with the regular A pre-finals. As we head into this, we got, I'm pretty sure that's James Overbeck on pole. He must have had an issue because he's been a front runner all weekend in this class, running in the top 5 of his heat races. We got a really big field here for a B pre-final. It's going to be interesting to see who can transfer in. This is basically an LCQ. We have 10 transferring from this into the A pre-final, so we'll have to see who can make it in. It's going to be a big battle to try and get into the A main, because if not, then you're done for the weekend. So we'll see who can transfer and who's going to be left behind. Coming through the last 2 corners here, ready to take the green as the field starts to stack up. We got James Overbeck on pole alongside of the 919. Coming to the green here, we'll see who can take the top 10 here. This is who's going to transfer into the A pre-final and who's going to be able to start the pre-final in a decent position to get themselves up to the front in the pre-final, as we are green as we go into the first corner. I don't think the drivers may have saw that, but we are green going into turn 1. James Overbeck leading the field here as we go through turn 1 and into the Monza.
Yeah, Overbeck had a lot of pace through the 2 heat races. He's able to control the race up at the front now. A lot of racing going on the Monza. These guys are going to have to waste very little time to be able to get up into this top 10, especially down through the field. You've got some guys that have a lot of pace on this. I believe Elliot Bazinski's in this race possibly as well. So 2 guys in this one as well. I think Danny Dzelski might be there as well. So all of those guys that had issues in the or in their heat races are going to have to make moves pretty quickly to get up into the top 10 and be sure to have the pace and have the ability to even start this final and be able to make some moves in the actual race. But Overbeck has done a nice job controlling the race through the first few corners now as they come through the double left. He's got about a 4-car pack in the front now. From about 5th on back, it's just a whole lot of chaos at this point. And I mean, early on in this race, you expect to see a lot of shuffling. Guys out of position, guys trying to be desperate, make moves to make sure that they can get into the final or into the pre-final. And you're going to see a lot of early action, I would imagine.
Yeah, as we come here to complete lap number 1, we have about 8 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock, so we still have a bunch of time left to go here. As we finish the first lap here, James Overbeck starting to get a little bit of a gap as we head into the I-70 corner. It's about a 3-cart train in the front, followed behind. We have a lot of chaos going around in the 10th position or so. That is our transfer spot, and I'm sure these drivers know that, and they are counting every cart in front of them to make sure they are in that top 10 as we come around in the red 171 hairpin. The drivers coming around pretty hot. We got a lot of chaos. I'm pretty sure that might be Logan Mueller or someone in a Trinity Karting Group cart making a pass, and that's around the 10th spot, so there's going to be a lot of chaos right around there as we have more side by side as we go through the kink here.
Yeah, and Overbeck has been able to maintain a solid gap at the front now to the rest of that top 3. And behind him, I mean, you're talking guys like Giovanni Cardone. You've got guys like Giovanni Cardone and the rest of that group behind him. I think Alex Murray's in the back half of the top 10 as well, trying to make up some spots as well. I mean, Logan Mueller's back there. You've got Tristan Farber, who had a lot of issues in the pre-final. He's trying to make it through the field. But Overbeck at the front looks like the most comfortable guy on the track currently. He's got a gap. Even if he falls back in position, he's still going to make the A pre-final. Still going to have the opportunity to make up positions. But right now, he's focused on one thing, and that's just extending the gap at the front. There's PJ Lida trying to make up some moves. He was in the top 10 in his second heat before getting taken out and before having issues, and that put him into this B pre-final. Looks like he's just on the outside of that transfer spot trying to make it in.
Yeah, Giovanni Cardone holding on strong with James Overbeck as we head through the Monza right here. Oscar Pinozo in 4th place, just went purple, though, on his Charles Leclerc go-kart, and he's going to be trying to catch up to that top 2 and get himself a further up starting position in the pre-final later in the day.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got Overbeck at the front now as we focus in on some battles going on through the field. You got Tristan Farber trying to make it up through the field now. He's going to make a move into the green corner, get another position. He's got to move fast. I mean, you've only got probably 8 laps or so. You've got to make it up. He's already up to 12th, I believe, so he's not got too many more moves to make, but certainly you want to get as far up in this field as possible because every move you make is a position you can start ahead. It's a position that you're not going to have to worry about in case penalties go up, and certainly in Farber's case, after the rough start to the weekend, he's had pace all weekend long. He was top 10 in qualifying. He started on the front row in his first and second heats. He certainly had a lot of pace, run up to the front group, just things haven't gone his way, and now you can see he's angling up a move now coming onto the last couple of corners. He's certainly right on the edge of the transfer spot, I would say, at this point. Looks like he's made his way all the way up into, we'll see as he crosses the line, P11 now with a 1:14.2, almost going purple. They're running a full half-second clear of what James Overbeck is doing. Farber's takes a look for that final spot. The other guy goes wide. It looks like Farber's made the move on James Brassel into P10, and now not quite so much of a worry about making the main, but now it's just about trying to make as many spots up as he can.
Yeah, that was our transfer spot battle right there as James Brassel gets passed for 10th position here. Tristan Farber's going to try and close in. We have another pass. PJ Lida, I'm pretty sure that is, goes through, and I'm pretty sure that is for the transfer spot or just one spot behind it. So PJ Lida starting to make some moves right now. Logan Mueller in 8th place went purple that last time by. He was about half a second faster than James Overbeck and the rest of the field. Giovanni Cardone starting to get pulled by James Overbeck a little bit here as we head through the double lefts. But they are not giving it up. Oscar Pinozo really starting to close in on our lead pack as he's in 3rd place right now. Giovanni Cardone actually fell back to 4th this lap, with Aiden Hatcher starting to close in on that top 4 group. He's been pretty consistent this weekend. Not a name that we've talked about a lot, but he's been putting the work in, and he's been trying hard, and he's got his white helmet with the blue stripe on it, and he's going through the last corner here, starting to catch those lead pack as we're blocking for 6th place down the straightaway right now, as you can see right there. Trying to go around the outside. That looks to be Alex Murray, and he makes it stick around the outside. Impressive passes, along with Logan Muir follows him through. But they're going to start trying to close in on Aiden Hatcher as they go through the Monza right now. Logan Mueller's really fast, so he's going to be trying to make some moves. But Tristan Farber just went purple. He's the only driver in the 13-second bracket and not that many other drivers. Actually, there's 2 other drivers in the 13-second bracket, but he's one of the only, and he's about around a 13.6. So that's super impressive from him as he's carrying a lot of speed, and he's moving up the field really quick.
Yeah, I'm looking at the transfer spot now just behind Farber is Jacob Snyder in 10th, and he certainly hasn't had quite as much pace. PJ Light has been catching him half a second a lap now. Looks like it's really good laps for PJ, trying to get into the main, kind of making everything he can up. Obviously, like I mentioned, had the issue in the second heat. He's been faster out. But now as we focus in on the battle for the lead, you've got James Overbeck in P1. You've got Mason Sergener in P2 and Oscar Pinozo in P3. All 3 of those guys have relatively even pace styles. It looks like Sergener got a little bit wide coming through the last couple of corners there, and that's going to allow for A, James Overbeck to get into the lead and get far ahead, and B, it's going to allow for Oscar Pinozo to be right on his bumper coming down the straight. Will we see Pinozo make a move, or will he work with Sergner like he's been doing? Pinozo's going to send it down the inside. Looks like a pretty standard move coming through turn 1. We'll see if Sergner tries to work with him. It looks like these couple car lengths back, not close enough to make a challenge into the Monza. Going back through the top 10, though, it looks like PJ Lighted just made a move through turn 1 to get into the transfer spot ahead of Jacob Snyder, and now it looks like James Brazel as well is right on the outside looking in. So those guys have certainly had some moves making moves. And now, looking at the other guys, you've got Farber making his way up through the field. He's still in the 13-second bracket, catching everyone else. You've got Alex Murray in the middle of the top 10. Logan Mueller. Those guys are pretty comfortable at the moment, and it looks like they have the pace to keep their position. It's the guys further down in 10th and 11th that are really looking at, and that looks like to be Jacob Schneider and James Brazel at the moment.
Yeah, as we close in on the leaders here, in 4th and 5th place, Aiden Hatcher has caught up to Giovanni Cardone for that 4th position, so we'll see if he'll make any moves here, and he needs to make them quick if he's gonna, because he needs to get in front of Giovanni Cardone, because Logan Mueller is closing in fast. So we'll see if he'll be able to do that here shortly. But the leaders are still coming through these last 2 corners. James Overbeck has been leading this entire race. Oscar Pinozo has been trying to reel him in. We got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. That's going to count to about 3 or 4 or 5 laps left to go. So we'll see how many laps we have as we come across the stripe next time by. But Oscar Pinozo is really starting to close in on that lead. As we see here, he is right up on the bumper of James Overbeck. And Mason Surgener is not that far behind with Giovanni Cardone trying to close in, but Aiden Hatcher just got around him, as you see. Oh, we got Tristan Farber in Monza. Oh my, that's Alex Murray and Tristan Farber up on top of each other. Tristan Farber was the fastest go-kart on the track, and he is done. He is done. He is not going to be able to rebound from that one, and he is not happy about that, and neither is Alex Murray. Oh my, that is rough break for them, as they are going to go to the back of the field now, and Tristan Farber is done. He's going to get out of his go-kart here, and Alex Murray, you can see his fenders all over the place, and that's going to cost them a chance in the pre-final A. So that's going to end their day here, and they're going to be sent home. But as we close in on the lead group here, that looks to be James Overbeck starting to get himself a little bit of a gap, but Logan Mueller has caught up to the back of the pack there.
Yeah, you've got now Overbeck in P1, still got a decent gap. Meanwhile, the group from 4th to 6th looks like they're making some moves. You've got Logan Mueller who's been driving fast. Tristan Farber is going to be the real storyline from this race, though. The fastest kart on track by some margin, had so much pace throughout the weekend, just could not have anything go right for him. He's out of the race now. He'll have to watch from the sidelines. But as you look now to the top 6, though, it looks like there's 2 groups of 3 at the moment. That crash between Murray and Farber opened up 2 more spots in the top 10, though, and that's allowed Lars Wilson to move up to the transfer spot. And he's got a pretty decent gap to Vance Bowersock now and continues to pull away.
Yeah, as we look here at the battle for the 4th, 5th, and 6th position, Logan Mueller starting to block for the 4th position. That's an aggressive move, considering he is already in a transfer spot. I would just be driving and trying to get as far away from that 10th place guy as possible. As you can see, that is Lars Wilson back in the 10th position. He's going over the hill right now and into the cell tower corner. He does not have much pressure from behind, and there is no one in front of him, so he is about as lone as a lone can be. As you watch the leaders here come down the straightaway, that's James Overbeck, followed by Oscar Pinozo. Oscar Pinozo has been trying to make a move on James Overbeck, but hasn't been able to make anything happen here, as we're coming to the 3-to-go signal. As there's 8 seconds left on the clock here, it's going to be super close as we come across the line, but we are going to have 3 laps to go. Logan Mueller in 4th place now with Aiden Hatcher behind him in 5th. PJ Lida has been super fast, catching up to the back of that 2nd pack with Giovanni Cardone in 6th place. So we'll see if PJ Lida will be able to make any moves as we go through the I-70 corner right now. That looks like James Overbeck still in the lead. Oscar Pinozo has been trying to make a move, but can't make anything happen.
Yeah, and it looks like Overbeck is going to be able to control the chase. Will we be too aggressive defending at the moment? I mean, obviously, all 3 of these guys, unless something drastic happens, should be pretty clearly onto the A pre-final. But we'll still see if Pinozo wants to make a move. He's content to follow at the moment, just push Overbeck further ahead. But at the moment, you've got those 2 at the front. Then you've got a big gap, or a decent sized gap back to Mason Sergener in P3. Logan Miller's found his way to the front of that 2nd group and has found himself into P4. He's had a lot of pace in this race. As now down the inside goes Pinozo into P1. Looks like Overbeck got pushed wide a little bit. That allows for Sergener to be able to get up into P2. Overbeck's fallen back to 3rd. The first time all race, he hasn't been in the lead, and it's coming to 2 to go, or coming to, I think they're coming to 1 to go at the moment.
Now we're coming to the 2 to go. Double sticks are going to be in the air this time by. As you can see, Oscar Pinozo's mechanic on the fence telling him, you got gap. Don't be worried about it. Just drive. and you can see him tucking down every single straightaway he can. He takes a look over his shoulder and tucks. He sees he has a gap. James Overbeck back into the second position, but Logan Mueller is coming there in fourth, so we'll see if he'll be able to reel him in as we have a battle for the second position right now. The two of them are really close together, so we'll see if there will be any moves made there. And if there is, that'll allow Logan Mueller to get back up into the fight along with Aiden Hatcher and PJ Lida. PJ Lida up into the sixth position with Giovanni Cardone back into seventh. Giovanni Cardone has really been falling off. He's about a second and a half off the pace right now. That's really hurting him, but I don't think he's going to have to worry about transferring in, as well as anyone else from the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th position, as they all have a good gap to the rest of the field. But along with racing, there come penalties, so we'll see if there's any post-race penalties that may affect any of this finishing position as the leaders. We have about a 7-cart train for the lead. They're a little bit spread out, but who knows? There's still a lap and a half left to go. We'll see if there'll be any moves made or any incidents coming along with that.
Yeah, Oscar Pinoza looks like he has a little bit of a gap now back to James Overbeck. But beyond Overbeck, there's just a whole herd of carts from second on. Oh, I think it looks like it might have been Sergener that went wide coming out of the scale tower corner. That's going to allow Logan Mueller to get up into P3. And now Sergener is going to have a lot of pressure from behind, whether that be through the 903 of Aiden Hatcher or through PJ Lida in 6th. And now really a costly mistake for Sergener. Thank goodness it didn't cost him the position into the A-main pre-final. But still, you've got a nice run for Oscar Pinoza to have a clear track ahead. Looks like we might have a little bit of issues coming out of turn 1 for one of the carts on that main group. Not sure who that was, but he dropped pretty far off the pace. But now Sergener is all the way back at the end of the lead group. PJ Light is going to make a move on Hatcher for P4, kind of muscles him out of the way. A little bit of an aggressive move for two guys that are already into the pre-final unless something drastic happens. But PJ is all the way up into P4 now. You've got Sergener that's all the way back at the end of the group, but certainly big story from this, along with Tristan Farber and Alex Murray getting into it. You've got Oscar Pinoza all the way up at the front, clearly ahead of James Overbeck and the rest of the field, including Logan Mueller in P3.
Yeah, James Overbeck unfortunately fell back to second there, but Oscar Pinoza is going to take the win in this one as long as nothing happens in these last 4 corners. Super impressive drive from him, coming from a little bit further back in the field. He had to claw his way through the field and is working on the last 2 corners now in this KA Stars pre-final B as he comes to the last corner here to take the checkered flag. Oscar Pinoza is going to win pre-final B in the KA Stars class, followed by James Overbeck, Logan Mueller, and PJ Lida. Super impressive from PJ Lida as well, coming from a little bit further back. I saw him back in about 11th or 12th at one point, so to finish 4th, he's got to be really happy with that one as the rest of the field files in. We got Aiden Hatcher coming home in 5th, Mason Sergener falling back a few spots at the end of that one and finishing 6th. Giovanni Cardone also falling back a few spots to finish 7th. Jacob Snyder in 8th. James Brassel in 9th. And rounding out your top 10 in your final transfer spot is Lars Wilson. Unfortunately, Eric Goldstein, Vance Bowersock, Emerson Blatt, Riley Pegram, Carl Weber rounding out your top 15. Austin Fairfield in 16th. And Alex Murray, unfortunately, rounding out your top 17, who are not going to make it into the main here later today. Still an awesome race, though. And next up, we got the 206 Stars for their pre-final. So stick with us. You're watching Kart Chaser. We'll be right back.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
We're back now at the Stars Championship for King of the Castle. Heading into the pre-finals now, we've got your 206 Stars on the grid for their pre-final. Looks like it was an entertaining battle the last two heat races. Obviously, they did both of their heats yesterday. One of the only three classes, I believe, to get both heat races in. Joining me back in the booth, we've got Xander Clements here as well. Xander, a lot of entertaining races in the 206 Stars class. I mean, a lot of fast drivers. It's been an incredible weekend to sort of see the progress in that class, and certainly as we get to the pre-finals, things get heated up. Gonna have longer races and more fun.
Right, and again, the main story out of a lot of those heat races was Mick Gabriel. He rolls off 8th here for the pre-final, had been the fastest driver on the racetrack, and it seemed to be both of the heat races was digging forward from the tail end of the field, made up a number of spots, and in both cases was able to get up to the lead pack with a couple of laps to go. He starts a little bit higher this one, and while they get set to clear the racetrack here for the Stars Championship crew, let's take you through the starting lineup here for your 206 Stars division and how they're going to line up for their pre-final. 16 drivers in total. Hunter Perry in the 135 OTK machine will start to the inside of Adam Maxwell's Evo kart number 141. Row 2 will find the AEM EOS kart, of Keegan Clark, to the inside of Ryan Kastner's Marinello. Then row 3 will be Braden Johnson. Then James Brassel, who we just saw battling in and out of the transfer bubble spot for the majority of that KA Stars pre-final. Now he lines up here in his 206 kart to the outside of row number 3. We mentioned Gabriel. He lines up to the outside of row 4 to the inside, starting 7th. Grant Pendry in the 112. Matthew Darlison aboard the VLR had a couple good runs yesterday and one run in heat number 1 where he got knocked off the racetrack. Was able to kind of rebound to the top 10. He starts inside the top 10 for the pre-final, the inside of the 187 of Derek Sokol. Another driver pulling double duty this weekend between KA Masters and 206 Stars. Row 6 will find Harbor Doss and Alec Kane in the 107. Row 7, Jalen Kerr and Nate Brody. Row 8 will be Jake Phillips and Scott Oliver. Starts shotgun on the field. Two drivers looking to make their way forward just a little bit more here today. The sun finally starting to poke its head through the clouds here a little bit, Emery. Obviously, you're a driver, just like Connor, who has a lot of laps here over the years at national level events at Newcastle Motorsports Park. This track was probably about as quick as it could have been earlier this morning once we kind of got the dampness out, once we got a few sessions on it, because when that grip is laid down, but it's cool, you get the overcast skies, the engines don't get too hot, typically you're running quicker. With the sun coming out, starting to raise the track temperature, raise the air temperature a little bit, all of a sudden, some of those patches that were giving us a lot of grip will get too hot, start getting a little bit slippery.
Yeah, I mean, this is a track that really has a lot of evolution and a lot of change over the course of the days. I mean, I've had races here where it's 90 degrees and a whole lot of grip, and I've had races where it's 40 degrees, completely slick, and everything in between. I mean, this is a track, weather really has a lot to do with it. I mean, we saw over the course of this weekend a lot of overcast skies. Yesterday, we got most of the day in before the rain came, and we saw the track about as quick as it could be over the course of the day. And now it's going to be interesting to see a lot of these 206 guys race in the overcast weather yesterday. Now they're in the sunshine. A lot hotter track temp, I believe, more sort of opportunities to see the tires heat up, and it's a longer race as well in these pre-finals. So it's going to be different conditions for these guys. It's going to be important that they're going to be able to make a move and sort of get their cart set up for the right condition.
And, well, as we saw some of the other competitors that are camping out here on the racetrack on the side, the geese are out. And you can see as well when you zoom out a little bit from that camera, as we've seen kind of in and out, the pond here, the pond on the long pond straightaway, the front stretch pond has risen tremendously from all the rain that we've gotten. I mean, it's probably only about 10 feet away from the chain link fence there, obviously at an incline. But nonetheless, we've got the go-karts going onto the racetrack now, released from the starting grid. So the 206 Stars will bring the rumble here in the Briggs & Stratton engines It will be the second class to run a pre-final. As mentioned here, the KA Stars pre-final. It's an interesting format the way that they've run it, and now we've finally got our 40 starters for the main event, pending post-race tech inspection and any penalties. Obviously, super unfortunate for a front-row qualifier in Tristan Farber, qualified in the top 4 overall, started on the front row for both of his heat races. Both heat races got pushed off to the side, especially here in Heat 2 this morning. They were one of the first heats to go out on the racetrack, and there the grass was even more wet and damp than what it was yesterday when they were running. So then he spun around in the grass, fell to the tail end, had the fastest lap, was digging forward, was inside the transfer positions, and came together with Alex Mueller. Both drivers will have to watch the pre-final A and the main event from the sidelines. But what I wanted to touch on about the way that they've done this format for the class, it doesn't really add a ton of time to the race day, more than a standard LCQ would. But by having the pre-final B, or essentially the LCQ, run before the standard pre-final, if you made it out of that LCQ, yes, you do have one more heat cycle on your tires, but you could start in the mid-30s, drive into the mid-teens even, as we've seen many superhero LCQ drives before, and then you start in the mid-teens based on where you finish pre-final A. So it's not so good for the guys that obviously qualified in the top 30 with 2 heat results, because if they have a mechanical failure or crash in that pre-final, they'll start all the way back as low as 40th. But if you transfer out of that LCQ, you could still start inside the top 20, and from the top 20, I mean, you could get to the top 5, and we've seen some guys make some heroic charges here at Newcastle from the back of the grid to win even. So it's not out of the question. Those guys we just saw on the screen in pre-final B could get to the front and race for the win in the KA Stars main event to close out our day. However, starting off our day for 206 Stars action, the first time they'll race here on Sunday, as they got their second heat in before the rain came yesterday. They are underway down the front stretch, and we're green to turn number 1 as Hunter Perry will take them into the I-70 corner on the inside lane. He's got Adam Maxwell around the outside. Keegan Clark side by side with Maxwell still for second. He'll give way. Here comes Kastner. He'll slot into third with the momentum from the outside lane, although under pressure. Clark getting back by in the Monza, and they'll charge to the red 171 hairpin. We got 3 around. Jake Phillips is involved, along with the 133 of Nate Brody, and they'll drop to the tail end of the field. That was back battling for 12th, 13th, and 14th, and unfortunately now they're going to be way back from the rest of the pack here as they work their way through.
Yeah, and Adam Maxwell's been able to get himself up to the lead now, but it looks like Hunter Perry's been able to get by him coming through the kink. They're 3 wide almost coming almost to the cell tower now, and it looks like Perry's going to be clear in the lead now. Maxwell into P2. Got Ryan Kastner right behind them in P3, but really this is a field that consists of the entire pack. I mean, you've got probably 13 carts in that pack all the way back down to about Jalen Kerr in P13. So certainly you've got a lot of cars there. Hunter Perry's been able to establish himself back up in the lead now. Maxwell's going to have to go back and try and make a move as well. He gets a little bit wide coming out of the scale tower corner. It looks like that was Kastner being able to get up to him coming through the final couple corners. He's into P2. Now it's given a little bit of a gap to Hunter Perry, but with the way that these 206 engines work and the way that you draft is going to be all the way up to, they're going to be all the way up to him by the time they get up to the top of I-70 and into turn 1. It looks like that pack has maybe separated a little bit, but you've still got 6 or 7 carts at the front group. Kastner just got pushed off coming out of I-70. That's going to shuffle him all the way back to the end of the group. You've got another cart behind him that I think got kind of pinned in there. But now, I mean, that second group, you've got Maxwell. You've got 3 wide coming out.
Oh, they're
big
all
crash.
Together. There goes Keegan Clark and Mick Gabriel in the grass, and Gabriel's going to get stuck. He'll probably have to get out there without burning the clutch up. Clark is out, and so just like that, it's an even bigger lead for Hunter Perry. That lead now nearly a second, and I believe Matt Darlison might be the next driver that's moved up into P2, leading the second pack. If I'm not, no, that's going to be Maxwell. My mistake. Maxwell into second. So he was able to escape the fray, but it has all changed hands, and it's still changing as they pass again for third with that wide shot. You can see they are 2 by 2, door to door through the horseshoe section. Like you mentioned here, that pack did split up a little bit. A few stragglers have fallen off the back end, but now 2 more major contenders collected. Keegan Clark, Mick Gabriel going for a ride in the spin cycle coming out of the Monza. Let's give you the updated order when they come by the start-finish line. Here's a look at the wide pack. Maxwell leads it in second. Brassel is third. We go back from there. We'll find Ryan Kastner fourth. Grant Pendry into the top 5. Derek Sokol 6th. Jalen Curtis 7th. Harbor Doss, Alec Kane, and Matt Darlison's about a second back there in the VLR, as Hunter Perry's lead has now gone up to 2 seconds. So with 1.5 laps complete, Hunter Perry, a massive margin for the field to try and run him down. And again, the pre-finals a little bit longer here. We're seeing 10 minutes plus 2 laps instead of the typical 8 plus 2 laps we saw for the heats. So that'll add about a lap to 2, depending on where they hit the timer compared to where they saw in the heats. It's still not a super long session, so they're going to need to be smart here. They all need to work together, put their egos aside, and push Adam Maxwell forward if, of course, they think he's got the pace to run down Hunter Perry, which, again, we'll find that out here this time by, because at least so far, Emory, they're staying single file.
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, Maxwell has certainly kind of been a little bit more calm this lap. Last lap coming through Monza, obviously, you had a big shuffle in that group. That really slowed them down. They were almost 2 seconds slower than what Hunter Perry was able to do. That's what allowed him to get such a huge gap. As they come now through the scale tower corner, it looks like, I mean, these guys are working together, very little mistakes. You see Ryan Castor and James Brazel in 3rd and 4th being content to just sort of work with Maxwell and let him lead the pack. They seem to be confident in his pace so far. And as you look down, it looks like he's made up a little bit of time this lap. And it looks like they're running about half a second clear what Hunter Perry did. Even Ryan Castor.
That's more than just a little bit of time right there, Emory. That's a good amount of time here. Adam Maxwell last time by a 24.1. Hunter Perry a 24.6. So exactly half a second quicker is that second group. And that is just a factor of this massive racetrack and a low horsepower package, whether it's a mini or micro swift or a 206 division. The draft is all about strategy, being smart here. And again, kudos to all these guys. A lot of them regulars in the package. You don't see a lot of, you'll see some crossover here. The drivers that maybe run the 206 class that are used to running 100cc and will run just an extra division. And it looks like we've also got on the side of the racetrack there a broken bumper for Jake Phillips in the 177 DR kart. He's headed over to the green corner, just got a meatball flag from the head steward. So unfortunately his day from bad to worse, getting taken out on the first lap and then now having to suffer a DNF. That'll mar him all the way down to 16th. As Maxwell are watching him lead this 4-car group, because it's just from Maxwell, Brassel, Kastner, and Pendry. They've got about a second back to Derek Sokol, who's faded backwards. But at least this pack, they'll get to Hunter Perry's doorstep here in about a lap and a half.
Yeah, Maxwell has been really consistent these last couple of laps. Obviously, he's a guy with a lot of laps around this track. He's running both classes in K and in 206. He's obviously had a little bit more pace in 206, but run pretty close up to the front in K, and now he just chopped off almost a second from Hunter Perry on that last time around. I mean, you're talking about a 123.7 for Maxwell, 124.6 for Perry. At this rate, they'll be on Perry by the time they get around to the end of the next lap. And even the second group from Sokol on back is still catching Perry just at a slower rate. So you're going to have a lead pack of about five carts coming up in about a lap. And then behind them, I mean, you could have up to a 9 or 10 cart lead train in the next few laps, depending on what happens when Maxwell gets up to Hunter Perry.
Yeah, we'll see when they get there here. That gap is now down to about 3 car lengths up to the race leader, Hunter Perry. Perry last time at 24.6. They were 9/10 better at a 23.7 for Adam Maxwell and company. Again, Jalen Kerr now having gone by Derek Sokol. They're still 2.5 back, but they're only about a second back from this group. So if they start to fight for the lead, it could open up and we could get that big 10-car lead pack once again. For now, it is 5. Hunter Perry has company. Here they come to the scale tower corner. How long does Adam Maxwell wait to pass him? He knows how much quicker he has been with the draft. Going to the grid corner, stays in line. I think we may see something down by turn number 1. But for now, Hunter Perry will lead to the end of lap number 4. And he's got a group of hungry drivers, 4 in total, and some more behind that might be ready to challenge him.
Yeah, and Hunter Perry going defensive down this main straight. Now we'll see if he keeps that defensive driving up coming into turn 1. Maxwell's going to get underneath him. Looks like he's going to get the position through the I-70 corner. Maxwell back up to the race lead. Now you've got a 5-cart lead pack. Now you've got 6 through 10th. Look like they're not too far behind as well. Maxwell's been able to chase down Hunter Perry from over 2 seconds back, get the lead, and now we'll see what you can do. Obviously in 206, it's very easy to follow and push. You see a lot of drafting going on. We saw that under effect with Hunter Perry, who was a very fast kart throughout the weekend, being almost a second off the pace from those guys just because they were pushing and because they had a draft and a reference to utilize. Now you can see Perry's just settled into second. Maybe we thought that the guys like James Brazel and Ryan Castor in P3 and 4 would have been able to follow through Maxwell, but instead it looks like Maxwell Perry, and then Brazel have been able to get a little bit of a gap now to Kastner coming through the cell tower. And we'll see how long these guys are willing to work with Maxwell. He's been very quick all race, obviously led the group all the way up to Hunter Perry. But Hunter Perry's the one that has kind of the jurisdiction on whether or not they're going to be patient and work with him or whether or not they're going to spice things up. And certainly, I mean, we've seen kind of a mixture of that racing in 206 over the course of this weekend. So as they come around through the last few corners, obviously Hunter Perry now pushing Maxwell at the moment, but you've got a little bit of a gap now between those two and the rest of the pack, as now Kastner has sort of caught back up a little bit to Brazel at the tail end of the lap, and now it looks like they're all dropping Grant Pendry in P5.
Yeah, they're all definitely Pendry losing. Last time by, he was about a half-second slower than the race leader, Adam Maxwell, with help from behind, although a little bobble there in turn one is going to take him wide. Perry going to give him the benefit of the doubt, say, all right, don't worry, you can go back in front. I'll let you go on through. Here comes the group of four through the Monza. You can see that Grant Pendry has now fallen outside the drafting window. And behind Pendry, I mean, it really hasn't changed much. Kerr, Sokol, Harbor Doss, Matt Darlison back to 9th, and then 10th on the racetrack is Braden Johnson. He was also kind of collected in that incident that took out Mick Gabriel and Keegan Clark earlier on, and he's just kind of riding on his own at the moment in 10th. So the big pack is, or the tightest pack is the one we've got for the lead, the top four. The big difference you can really see of Maxwell's pace compared to the other ones when leading is the daylight that is going to be shown at the exit of the corner and a little bit in the center. You can see he's got maybe a couple feet back to Hunter Perry. Coming out of the corner, it takes a little bit down the straight for Perry to close up to the bumper. If he's on his bumper through the center of the corner or right there at the exit, then you would say, all right, Maxwell may not be quick. But right now, I think he's probably the fastest driver in that pack as we see, we got problems for fourth. That was Kastner. I don't know if he got caught off guard or what, but Ryan Kastner he's thrown a chain. Ryan Kastner is out at the exit of the grid corner, and the top three have now got a big gap. The top two with a gap as well. Ryan Kastner pulling off to the side of the racetrack. There's a shot at the Maranello driver. We've got him here. And the 105 from third on the racetrack now with a mechanical failure. He's trying to look like maybe adjust something. I don't know if he's working on the chain. I can't imagine he'd do that on the ground, or if he's working on maybe the idle or the spark plug with where he's reaching back on the motor. But nonetheless, Ryan Kastner's out. There go the leaders on by. His pre-final is done. And so that's another race-winning contender that it's going to be starting at the tail end of the field. It'll be a very interesting main event, Emery.
Yeah, and I mean, now you've got Adam Maxwell and Hunter Perry just really out in the clear. I mean, at this point, they're running times quicker than the rest of the field. You've got, obviously, a gap back to James Brazel in P3. The DNF of Kastner allowed sort of those front two to get a little bit of a gap back, and now they're content to work with each other. And Maxwell, like you mentioned last lap, has a lot of pace in that car. I mean, that thing looks so free on rotation. It's just so effortless for him to drive fast. I mean, he's been on the edge of points. He locked up coming to turn one a couple of laps ago. But certainly, this has been a really good drive for Adam Maxwell, just showing so much pace up at the lead that we simply haven't seen through the rest of the field. And as we come down to get 2 to go, it looks like it's going to be a race between him and Hunter Perry. But at the moment, Maxwell's been able to get a little bit of a gap. Obviously, that's going to come down with the draft, but it just shows the mighty pace that Adam Maxwell's had all weekend long.
Yep, we've hit the time limit. So as you mentioned, 2 laps to go. Now, as we've gone past 10 minutes, we were actually about halfway through it. So these guys are going to get in total 9 laps completed. 2 to go. Adam Maxwell leads into the Monza. Hunter Perry looks like he'll be the only one to challenge because James Brazel got thrown off with the way that Ryan Kastner broke right in front of him. Unfortunately, that it's really taken him out of contention. He's over a second back. They aren't fighting too hard. In fact, Maxwell even pulled about a cart length gap, nearly 2, back to Hunter Perry coming out of the red 171 hairpin.
Yeah, I mean, Maxwell, you're looking at probably the fastest car on track this whole pre-final. He's been able to get a gap to Perry. Now, I think Perry's going to be close enough to be in drafting window coming to the white flag, but certainly, I mean, this just shows Adam Maxwell looks like the car to beat. And with Mick Gabriel, Ryan Kastner, both of them going to have to start all the way back at the tail of the field as we see Kastner on screen now. This is a critical moment for Kastner as well because he has the opportunity to make up a couple of spots and start not quite as far back, but certainly still just absolute nightmare race for him as they're going to have to start, him and Gabriel are going to have to start from 12th and 14th on the grid probably, and that's going to mean that they're going to take a few laps to get up to the field. As they come to the white flag now, you've got Adam Maxwell. Hunter Perry's back on him again. He had a really good second half of the lap to close that gap back up. And now we'll see. They've got enough of a gap where they can afford to fight pretty much the whole lap and be fine. But as they come down to I-70, it looks like it's going to be really line of stern, and Maxwell continues to lead.
I think for both of these guys, they've seen so many drivers here. I'm sure they saw Kastner on the side of the road, so many contenders taken out in this pre-final. Whether you start first or second, as long as you can, make it through the first corner, you're going to be way better off than throwing the race away, going for the race win. And that's why I don't think you're seeing Maxwell defend much here. Hunter Perry not really pressuring him too much either. He's just pushing him. He knows he's a little bit quicker, and while the draft has brought Perry back to him, he's not applying too much pressure. Update for Kastner, he's 1 lap down and did pull into the scale line that time by, so he's able to drive in on his own. Like you said, though, he'll start 14th. Gabriel right now has gotten back up to 11th. Fastest lap of the race for Mick Gabriel that time, and there goes the defensive driving. Took about halfway through the lap for it to come, and they're going to go door-to-door for the lead. Hunter Perry around the outside. Can he stay there? Maxwell gets into him. Perry, an around the outside move to take over the lead on the final lap.
What a job by Hunter Perry, though. Maxwell's going to go into the scale corner side by side. That usually doesn't end well. Perry able to get the position, kind of doors Maxwell into the grass a little bit. Maxwell's going to try up the inside into the final couple corners. Looks like Perry's able to keep the track position now. He's going to go defensive into the final corner. Maxwell's going to try to cross him over. Looks like Perry's going to have him covered. They go side by side to the line. Hunter Perry got it.
Yes, he did. 1/10 of a second. Hunter Perry, and a nice little sign of sportsmanship as they touch knuckles at the end of the straightaway. A good, hard-fought battle for both drivers there. They gave each other room, ran each other to the ragged edge, but Hunter Perry emerges victorious in the 206 Stars pre-final. Let's go through the rest and see how they all shook out to complete that one, because, man, did it get wild for a good part here of this one. Hunter Perry, your winner over Adam Maxwell, James Brassel, Grant Pendry, Matthew Darless in the top 5, Derek Sokol ended up in 6th, Brayton Johnson 7th, Harbordos in 8th, Jalen Kerr 9th, and on the last lap, Mick Gabriel got by his AEM karting teammate in Keegan Clark to round out the top 10. Again, Clark, a top 5 contender, will start 11th for the main event. Nate Brody, 12th. Again, we saw him get taken out early. Scott Oliver as well, and then, of course, Jake Phillips down at 16th. He ends up behind Alec Kane, and then Ryan Kastner, who was running 3rd when a broken chain took him out of contention. So a lot of drivers on the sidelines. There's the 142 of Scott Oliver. As you can see, we've got track cleanup to do. When we come back, more action to come. The Minis are next here from the Stars Championship Series. King of the Castle here on Kart Chaser. Group A Apparel, designed for the athlete in all of us. Check out more online at groupAapparel.com.
Parolin USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com. If you're looking for top-grade equipment, look no further than Rev Performance Materials engine mounts, sprockets, and arcade chains. Available online now at RevPerformanceMaterials.com and through a dealer near you. The highest quality material, built to the highest quality standards. Rev Performance Materials.
Next up here in Newcastle is the Mini Swift division. On pole is going to be Isaac Malcutt, followed by Lucas Palacio and William Kim, rounding out your top 3. Super exciting racing from the 2 heat races. Lucas Palacio and Isaac Malcutt had really good races. Unfortunately, their race yesterday was cut short due to a lightning delay, so they didn't get to go for their full distance. But they are going to do that today. We have no lightning in the area, sunny skies with a little bit of cloud, and we're ready to go racing here with the Mini Swift division.
Yeah, I mean, we had some really close racing between the top 3 earlier in the weekend. Obviously, Lucas Palacio up at the front, Isaac Malcutt as well, Max Whelan as well. All 3 of those guys were at the front and really competitive among the 3 of them. And I mean, we saw really a breakaway between them and the rest of the field. I mean, obviously, going down through the rest of the lineup, you got William Kim in P4. Row 3 is going to be Caleb Johnson and Jacob Scheibel. Row 4 is going to be Roman McCurdy and Sam Tutwiler. Row 5 is Caleb Lantern and Charlie Myers. I mean, you've got a few really fast people in this Mini Swift category, but it's really been Malcutt and Palacio have been kind of the sort of main guys to watch this weekend. I mean, they've been up at the front in every session. In qualifying, they were in the top 3, and both of the heats they were racing at the front. And obviously, didn't get to see how the end of that race really played out because of the lightning that sort of abruptly brought an end to it. But certainly, this has been one of the more exciting classes this weekend. Even with the small class, you've still got a lot of competition among them.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be a fun race to watch. We'll see if Lucas Palacio and Isaac Malcutt will be able to pull away from the field like they have all weekend long. It looks like Lucas Palacio will be starting on pole here as we come down into the tram lines, getting ready to go racing here in Newcastle. Going to start accelerating here a little bit early. We'll see if they give him the green flag. And yes, green flag is out here. We're racing in turn 1 with the Mini Swift class. Lucas Palacio goes to the inside. Max Weiland follows him through, already taking away the P2 position from Isaac Malcutt. We'll see them coming into the Monza corner here. Lucas Palacio already leading them into the corner with about a car length and a half gap. Isaac Malcutt jumping early into second place. He's going to try and get crossed over by Max Weiland, but it's not going to happen. We'll see about here in this red 171 hairpin, and it is going to work. Max Weiland takes P2 back over, but gets really tight and pushes off into the marbles, and Isaac Malcutt's able to take P2 back away from him. But all this action has given Lucas Palacio about a 4 or 5 cart length gap back to Isaac Malcutt. So we'll see if Isaac Malcutt will be able to pull back up to Lucas Palacio and see if the 2 of them can pull away together like they have for most of the weekend so far. Yeah,
and Palacio's got a little bit of a gap, but with the way that these Swifts work, it's going to be really hard to maintain that just because of the draft effects and because of how fast Isaac Malcutt has been all weekend long. It looks like there's about an 8-cart lead train all the way back down, or 7-cart lead train all the way back down to...
Oh, Lucas Palacio looks like he has an issue, or he hug a tire, but he's all the way back to 4th place now. I think something's happened to him. He must have hung a tire or something coming out of the blue corner, because he went from 1st to 4th right there and gave Isaac Malcutt the lead and put Max Weiland up to 2nd. And now William Kim is also in a podium position as well. Lucas Palacio takes a look over his shoulder and sees there's more to come behind him. We'll see if they'll be able to jump on him or if he'll be able to hold 4th place there as he goes to the inside. Max Weiland takes over the lead as well. We haven't heard much of Max Weiland so far this weekend. He's kind of been a dark horse back in 3rd or 4th place for most of the weekend, but he just took over the lead, but Isaac Malcutt got back by him right after. So we'll see if they can continue to race, or are they going to work together to try and get away from the rest of the field as Lucas Palacio gets back up into the 3rd spot, and Max Weiland give Isaac a little bit of a shove there in the red 171 hairpin, and then Isaac Malcutt got a little bit of a gap due to that.
Yeah, I mean, Weiland has really not been patient at all in this stretch, really trying to make as many moves as possible, get himself up to the lead, take control of the race over Isaac Malcutt. We saw Lucas Palacio have some sort of issue coming out of the right-hand kink. Looked like it might have been dropping a tire or something, but certainly that allowed, A, the group to pass him, and B, it just allowed really him to get kind of mired back in the middle of that pack. It took a few corners for him to kind of get back up into rhythm, but now he's back up to P3. Looks like Malcutt's been able to drop Weiland in the back part of the racetrack, and now Palacio is the one that's going to be right on Weiland. Isaac Malcutt just ran off the track in the scale tower corner. It looks like he was followed as well by William Kim as well. And so now both of those guys went into the grass. For Malcutt, it meant that he lost the lead. For Kim, it meant that he lost the 2nd and 3rd place guys. And now it's Max Weiland and Lucas Palacio who have broken away. So last lap we saw it was Palacio that made a mistake. This lap it was Isaac Malcutt from the race lead. Palacio is going to take his race lead back, get back up into the lead. And after only just a lap and a half, he goes from 4th from 4th on track to 1st on track after that mistake. Isaac Malcutt will try to replicate what he did and get back up to the front too, but certainly really a chaotic opening couple of laps because of Malcutt and Palacio's mistakes, but it looks like things have maybe settled down a little bit as we've got action back in the middle part of the field. Palacio's been able to pull a little bit of a gap on Weiland over the course of this first part of the lap, and certainly Palacio going to try to be a little bit more clean than he was early in the race, and Isaac Malcutt's going to have to get back up there because he just completely missed the corner for the scale tower corner, and that allowed really the entire group to bunch back up from 3rd on back, and it allowed Palacio and Weiland to get away.
Yeah, the whole field is really close together here. As you can see, the battle from 3rd to about 9th position is all within about a second. So they're going hard at it back there while the rest of the field is starting to edge away from the rest of them. Lucas Palacio has about a 4 or 5 kart length lead here as Max Weiland is trying to follow him, but he is just not fast enough as Isaac Malcutt starts to pull away from William Kim in 3rd position. William Kim needs to put his head down to try and stay with Isaac Malcutt as they come across the line to complete lap number 3 as Lucas Palacio goes purple by over half a second over anyone else in the field. Isaac Malcutt did a 1:19.4. Lucas Palacio just did a 1:18.925 as Lucas Palacio is clearly showing off his pace. We'll see if Isaac Malcutt will be able to close it up at all because he was fast in the heat races. We'll see if he'll be able to do it here right now. Sam Tutwiler goes to the inside on, I think that's Roman McCurdy. Caleb Johnson trying to follow through and make something happen, but he won't be able to. Roman McCurdy is up into 5th place now as Sam Tutwiler is back into 6th.
Yeah, you've got a whole group now from about 4th to 8th now, all the way from William Kim to Jacob Scheibel at the back of that group. And really, I mean, looks like we have some kind of issue potentially here. It looks like Weiland's been caught up completely by Isaac Malcutt now, and so it's a big gap from Palacio back to those 2nd and 3rd. Palacio's had a lot of pace this weekend, but in this race in particular, he is half a second clear from a time standpoint of anyone else on the racetrack. I mean, this is something that we've seen from Lucas Palacio in the Trinity kart over the course of this year. A lot of raw pace, and Mini hasn't quite had the breakout weekend yet just from a result standpoint, but certainly he is making his mark early on in this race. And you can see Malcutt's been able to get by Max Whelan in the back half of the track, and now he'll set his sights back on Palacio as it looks like he's closed the gap a little bit on this lap. We'll see as they cross the line exactly what kind of time he does. Palacio had a little bit of a shake-up, and now Malcutt's a full second a lap quicker than him now with a 1:18.6.
Yeah, that's not just a little bit of time there. That's a lot of time. That's 9/10 of a second that Isaac Malcutt just caught up to Lucas Palacio. At this rate, he's going to be on his bumper by the time we get to about the red 171 corner. So Isaac Malcutt is closing fast.
William Kim's off the racetrack.
Oh,
he's in the puddle.
William Kim off track. Unfortunate event for him as he was running in 4th place with Roman McCurdy right behind him. He must have felt the pressure because he just ended his race right there. He is going to have a DNF or at least a very bad finish for him. So that's going to put him at the back for the main event. Unfortunate event for William Kim, but unfortunately we're going to have to keep moving on with Lucas Palacio up in front. And that's Isaac Malcutt right there. Can he make a move? Lucas Palacio runs wide. Isaac Malcutt's looking to make a move. Not going to make anything happen yet. Lucas Palacio misses another corner. Isaac Malcutt is going to get impatient here shortly as they head down the back straightaway. Lucas Palacio still leading us here.
Yeah, I mean, Palacio has kind of been a little bit all over the place in this race. Certainly has the raw pace, but can he put it together? He's made multiple mistakes now. He got Malcutt right on him as they come up to potentially hit a lap card. I believe that's the 186 of Charlie Myers, who's running a decent pace, but obviously the front two are way quicker, and they're going to be catching up to him. It looks like Malcutt's going to go for the lead coming down the straightaway, and with the lap card, that's going to make things a little bit awkward, but it looks like Malcutt's been able to get him. Now the lap card's going to get in the way coming through turn 1. That's going to make things interesting. Palacio's going to go to the outside. Malcutt's able to get a little bit of a gap now because of that, and now it looks like Malcutt's got about 2 kart lengths, and he's been able to catch Palacio from way behind. Did a 1:18.4 on that last lap, a full 6/10 quicker than Palacio. Now he's got the lead. Now we'll see if Palacio can make up some time and be able to stick with Malcutt after really both of them have gone through it in this race. They've kind of made mistakes. They've gone off the track. They've fallen back to 3rd or 4th, and then they've been able to catch back up to the other one. But now it looks like Malcutt's been able to get a little bit of separation on this lap. His card has really come in. He's absolutely flying right now.
Yeah, it's funny to see how after all that has happened so far this race, we're only 5 laps in, and so much has happened. I mean, both of our leaders in 1st and 2nd have made mistakes, fallen back, but it's funny how they both came back up to the front just like they did in the heat races. We still have about 2 minutes to go before we get the 2 to go sign, so we still have some time left in this race for Lucas Palacio to run Isaac Malcutt back down. He's going to have to put his head down to do that because he's about a half a second back right now.
And at the moment, I mean, you've got those two cars, and then you've got a full stratosphere difference between them and what Max Wheeland is able to do in third. I mean, Palacio is running 1:18.9s right now, which is half a second up on what Malcutt is, and somehow nobody else in the field is even close to that time. So just the front two are in a league of their own right now. Palacio has been able to maintain a little bit of a gap to Malcutt. Certainly, it looks like Malcutt's starting to yard him a little bit, but if he can just stay in that drafting range and sort of maybe pounce on a little bit of a mistake from Malcutt here or there, and then kind of get a chance for himself in the last couple of laps. As I say that, though, he gets a little bit wide coming out of the scoreboard, loses about a tenth or so. So it's all kind of fluctuating, but certainly those front two are in a whole different zip code. As we now look at the battle from third to fifth, you've got really kind of those guys going up through the battle, up through the lap traffic at the moment with Charlie Myers, who's kind of been there for everyone, and that's Sam Tutwiler in fourth, kind of struggling to get by him. He's had a pretty good race to go from 8th to 4th. Roman McCurdy as well as in 5th, and those guys round out your top 5. But as I mentioned, just a completely different zip code from what Isaac Malcutt and Lucas Palacio have been able to do. I mean, 4 laps ago, those two were mired back in that pack, and now they're almost 6 seconds clear of them. So it's a crazy pace difference in this race.
Yeah, talking about William Kim, who made a mistake earlier and went off in the I-70 corner. He is back running, but he is 28 seconds behind our leader, so he's going to not be able to finish this race in a good position. That's going to put him at the back as we have 45 seconds to go. The leaders have just caught another lap traffic car as Lucas Palacio has a little bit of trouble getting by him in the last corner here, but it's not going to hold him up too much as both of our leaders just did about the exact same time. Only 6,000 separated them. So we'll see if Lucas Palacio, now that he has clean track, if he can catch up to Isaac Malcutt, rolling through the Monza here, back through the left, going into the red 171 hairpin here. He's closing the gap fast. As you can see, Lucas Palacio is right there as he gets a little bit tight into the red 171 hairpin and loses a little bit of time there. We'll see if he'll be able to make that back up as we go through the green corner, as he's about a kart length and a half back going through the kink here, and the rest of the field falling behind. Max Weiland about a second off the pace. Sam Tutwiler about 2 seconds off the pace, as the rest of the field is as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Palacio's driving, he is getting absolutely everything out of that kart, maybe a little bit over the edge a little bit, especially through the scoreboard. The last couple laps he's run wide, but, I mean, it's working for him. He is running down Isaac Malcutt from a pace standpoint. A couple laps ago, it looked like maybe you wouldn't be able to hang on to him. That's certainly been dispelled, and obviously Malcutt has a lot of pace in his kart, but Palacio has just been so aggressive on the wheel, really kind of throwing it into corners. You see now, as they come through the second to last corner, coming to 2 to go, you're going to see Malcutt's got a little bit of a gap in hand, but by the time they get down to turn 1, it's going to be Palacio is going to be able to make up that gap, and we'll see if Palacio is going to be patient or if he's going to go ahead and make the move. Here coming into there, Malcutt runs a little bit defensive, but Palacio is content to stay in P2 and work with him for the time being. Don't want to risk anything. It's only a pre-final. Still have time. We'll see what Palacio does here, though.
Yeah, Palacio coming into the Monza corner here right behind Isaac Malcutt. There's no space between them. Can't even see anything as he's right on his bumper going in the red 171 hairpin. No moves yet to be made, though. We have 2 laps to go, about a lap and a half left in this race. We'll see if there will be any moves on this lap, or is he going to wait till the last lap to make a move. As you can see, Max Weiland still about a second and 2/10 off the pace. Lucas Palacio went purple last time by at a 118.2. That is flying right now for the way the track is. We'll see if he'll be able to make a move with that speed that he has, as Max Weiland is still falling back. And up to 4th place goes Roman McCurdy. He's up into the 4th place past Sam Tutwiler further back in the field. But as the leaders come down, we have about a lap and 4 corners left to go here as they come to the scale corner. No moves to be made yet for Lucas Palacio. He's going to wait until the last lap to make his move on Isaac Malcutt. We'll see if Isaac Malcutt goes defensive, and when he does go defensive, and if he's able to hold Lucas Palacio back as we come to get the white flag. 1 lap to go here in the Mini Swift pre-final. Isaac Malcutt goes to the bottom to try and defend his line as Lucas Palacio looks for a way around him. Not going to make it happen in turn 1. He's going to wait, be patient, see when he can make his move, be smart with it. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, Palacio has been really patient here. You've seen Malcutt hasn't been too defensive, but certainly that maybe plays a little bit of a part into it. But, I mean, these guys have 5.5 seconds on the field. They're running 1:17.7 at the moment. To put that in perspective, that is a 1.5 seconds clear of what Max Weiland in third is doing. And it's faster than anyone else is on the field as well by a full 1.5 seconds. So they're getting absolutely everything out of these mini Swift carts. Palacio just went purple, and Malcutt did a similar time as well. But as they come now, it's the last lap of the race, so none of that really matters. And you'll see, I mean, they're content to work with each other. But as they come into Cell Tower, will we see Palacio make a move? He sticks behind him at the moment. So it looks like Malcutt's got him covered off, and it might be in part due to Palacio just not wanting to push the issue, not want to risk anything on the last lap. I mean, they have so much pace in hand. that you don't want to do anything stupid, tear a card up, start further back. But certainly this is going to be the battle that we're going to see in the final. It's going to continue to rage on. As we get to the last three corners, it looks like it's going to be Isaac Malcutt that's going to be able to top Lucas Palacio in this one. But those two put on an absolute show in this race. I mean, both of them made mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Isaac Malcutt taking your pre-final win ahead of Lucas Palacio in P2. Those two were several seconds ahead of Max Whelan, who comes across to finish P3. Then behind them, there's a big gap back to a battle for fourth between Roman McCurdy and Sam Tutwiler. And I think as well, you've got Jacob Scheibel right on the back of them on the last lap as well. So that's your battle from 4th through 6. Caleb Johnson finishes 7th. Then you've got guys that had issues like William Kim, who we saw go through the puddle on the exit of turn 1. And then rounding out your field, you got Caleb Lantern and Charlie Myers in P10.
Yeah, exciting race to see for sure. That was a lot of action. So we're excited to keep watching these pre-finals. They've been interesting so far. So we're going to send it to commercial break. Next up is going to be the KA Masters class. Excited to watch that one. We'll see what we have in store. You're watching Kart Chaser. We'll be right back.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere. Try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com, and one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
Odenthal Racing Products, your #1 producer in engine mounts since 1992, along with our leading-edge designs and product development, such as the Odenthal Racing Products EasyGP camera mount, which comes in 4 different styles and can be used on any karting platform. See our products online. Go to odenthalracing.com.
It's KA Masters time here in Newcastle, led by Larry Pegram and Derek Sokol. We'll see what we have in store for us. Larry Pegram has been able to win both heat races so far this weekend. He's been dominant, and we'll see if he'll be able to continue that dominance here in the pre-final.
Yeah, Pegram had a lot of pace yesterday in the mixed conditions. Obviously, this was the one class that got to run in the rain before we had the second lightning delay that ended things early in the day, and we saw Pegram really dominant in the rain, had a lot of pace. And I think that you've seen him all weekend just kind of have the measure of this field. You got Derek Sokol in P2. He's had a lot of pace as well, but behind them, Tyler Pressel will start P3, Ryan Castor P4. And it looks like we've got someone in the barrier coming out of the pits, and that is Tyler Pressel. Your P3 starter is having to roll it back, and I think that might be his race done. So really early problems for him at the start of this race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a mechanical issue. I don't think he hit anything there, but really unfortunate for him as he was going to roll off on the second row, but he looks like he's not going to get going. He's still smiling, though, so good to see from him. But we'll keep going and see what we got here coming to the line as Larry Pegram takes a look back and doesn't see Tyler Pressel behind him. But we're going really slow here, waiting for the rest of the field to catch up as Larry Pegram shows his sportsmanship, waiting for the rest of the field as they're getting ready to go green here with 2 corners to go before we take the green flag.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Pressel being out of the race is a real shame. It looked like he had a good shot to podium this race. He'll have to start all the way at the back of the field for the final, but certainly not what you want to see in the pre-final. But as they go around, should be able to get started. Looks like everyone's been able to form up because of how slow Pegram and Sokol were able to take it. So that was really nice work from them. As they come up the front straightaway, getting ready, get set to go to the start. Got Pegram on the inside, Sokol on the outside, looking for green, and looks like we got it. We're going, and Larry Pegram gets away well. Looks like he's got a full clear lane into turn 1, and it looks like that's going to be the 206 of Thomas Gerstner able to get into P2. as he was able to move up as a result of what happened, or no, he's back in P3 or P4. I think that Sokol has been able to kind of find his way to the inside into P2 in the 229 cart. Got a fellow Maranello cart in Ryan Castor as well into P3, I believe that is. And certainly you've got a lot of pace in Larry Pegram, so it's going to be interesting to see if the entire pack can keep up. Looks like it's all clean through the first lap so far. Got Pegram at the front, Sokol in P2, Ryan Castor in P3, and then a pretty decent sized gap back to, I believe that might be Gressner back in P4 maybe. We'll see as they come around, and we can get a better view, but certainly Pegram is able to get out in the clear. Looks like he's got pretty good pace on this first lap. He's been able to pull about a 2 or 3 cart length gap on Sokol, and now it's Ryan Castor that's pressuring Sokol for P2 at the moment. Those top 3 have a pretty decent sized gap back to the rest of the field.
Yeah, really good start for Larry Pegram as he goes through the scale corner. Makes a little bit of a mistake there as Derek Sokol's able to close the gap a little bit, but still not enough to make any moves as Larry Pegram comes to the last corner here to complete lap number 1. We got about 8 minutes and 45 seconds left on the board, so still plenty of time for Derek Sokol to make up this deficit and try and get in front of Larry Pegram. Larry Pegram has, like we said, been dominant all weekend long, so we'll see if he'll be able to continue that dominance as he still leads the pack by about 2 cart lengths in front of Derek Sokol and Ryan Kastner, the Maranellos, behind him.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a really good start for the 2 Maranello carts. Obviously, you have Ryan Castor and you have Derek Sokol as well. We'll see if they work together to try to take down Pegram. Obviously, this is not what you want to see if you're Larry Pegram, to have 2 fast cars right behind you, but at the same time, he has had the measure of everyone in this field this whole weekend, so it can't be too bad. Jason Ewers has been able to work himself up into P4. He started 11th in this race, so I think some of that might have been Tyler Pressel and sort of the impact that him being out sort of moved him up a row, but still a really good start from Ewers. Thomas Grissner's in P5, Bob Davis is P6, Jared Tracy in P7, Chris Stevens P8, Peter Cook in P9. Gallo Barros rounds out your top 10, as now you can see Larry Pegram's been able to pull a pretty decent-sized gap now to Derek Sokol and Ryan Castor behind him. And you have to wonder when Castor might get a little bit impatient and try to make a move on Sokol. So it looks like his car is handling a little bit better earlier in the race. It seems like in the center of the corners, Castor's been able to get all over Sokol and just kind of almost make life difficult for him. At the same time, he's trying to work with him, but now Castor just says it's over. He's going for P2, and he's going to set his sights on Larry Pegram in the lead, who last lap was able to pull about a 10th on what Castor was able to do. So at the moment, it looks like he's the pace to match him, but we'll see if he's able to close in on him, given that he's a little bit outside of drafting range, and certainly Pegram has been very quick all week, and he's been able to keep control, hasn't made too many mistakes. Meanwhile, the pack behind them, you've still got Jason Ewers, has a decent-sized gap now to Thomas Gerster and Jared Tracy in 5th and 6th, so it looks like that's kind of settled down for the moment, but really the top 3 are probably the closest battle on the track at the moment, and all of them are pulling away from the rest of the pack by about a second a lap.
Yeah, Larry Pegram's still showing his pace, but Ryan Kastner is one to watch for. I mean, he's closing in on this lap. We'll see when they cross the line what the times look like, but it definitely looks like Ryan Kastner has the pace to run with Larry Pegram, which is surprising to see because nobody has had the pace to run with Pegram so far this weekend. So we'll see if he'll be able to close the gap as they go through the scale corner. Larry Pegram took a look back on the straightaway, and he'll probably look back again this time and see that he's getting caught by Ryan Kastner as they come across the line here to complete lap number 3. Larry Pegram takes a look over his shoulder, doesn't tuck. Ryan Kastner is tucking up on the wheel. He wants to catch Larry Pegram. He hasn't been in front of Larry Pegram all weekend long, so we'll see if they'll be able to close the gap as Larry Pegram and Ryan Kastner do almost the exact same time. Ryan was only 0.02 of a second slower than Larry Pegram, so he has the pace. We just need some mistakes from Larry Pegram, and Ryan Kastner will be able to catch up as long as he runs consistent lap times, but it looks like Larry Pegram has been able to pull away a little bit this lap. He looked back, realized that he was getting caught, and said, I'm going to step on the gas, and now he's driving away from Ryan Kastner as they go through the green corner here. In third place, Derek Sokol still getting pulled a good bit by Ryan Kastner, but he has no pressure from behind, so nothing to worry about there. Just save his tires for the final and hope he has a good run in the final starting from the 3rd spot as long as everything stays the same.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation for Derek Sokol at the moment where you're kind of just like, well, you might as well just wait until the final, give it another shot with a maybe slightly different setup, tweak things a little bit, and see if you have the pace to make things up. And certainly, the moment Kastner has been able to match the pace of Pegram, but just cannot close the gap too much. And as we come around to complete lap number 4, Larry Pegram's been very consistent. It looks like Kastner's quicker in the second half of the lap. That's where he really makes the time up. And then in the first half of the lap, Pegram, especially through I-70 and through the Monza, is able to make up a lot of time. But at the moment, Kastner just set a purple lap of 1:15.8. That's 3/10 quicker than what Larry Pegram was able to do in P1. They're yarding Sokol by about 8/10 a lap at the moment. So he's going to be out of the equation. But it looks like it's going to be Kastner versus Pegram. And Kastner, if he can stay consistent, not make any mistakes in the early part of the lap, then the second part of the lap, he's really been quick and has been able to really close that gap on Pegram over the course of the last couple of laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle of who can make the least mistakes. As you see, Ryan Kastner got pulled on the first half of the track once again. We'll see if he'll be able to make it up in the second half as Larry Pegram goes to the kink right here, followed by Ryan Kastner right behind him going over the hill into the cell tower corner. We still have a battle here. They're not driving away from each other. They are catching each other. Ryan Kastner went purple last time by. That shows the pace that he has. If he can continue to do that, we still have over 4 minutes left on the clock, so we still have plenty of time to make up that gap. And Ryan Kastner is tucking everywhere he can. He's trying all he's got to catch up to Larry Pegram as they go through the last 3 corners here. Ryan Kastner is on Larry Pegram's bumper. Larry Pegram is going to look over his shoulder here and see he is right there. There he goes. Look at him. He looked over his shoulder. He knows he's right there. He's blocking. He does not want to let Ryan Kastner by. He has been out front all weekend long, and Ryan Kastner is there. Ryan Kastner is on Larry Pegram now as he goes 3.5 tenths faster than Larry Pegram that last time by. He lost a little bit of time in the I-70, but not that much. He will be right there as this lap goes on and the draft continues to do its thing. And Larry Pegram still holding on to that lead. He drives it like crazy the first half of the lap and pulls away from Ryan Kastner every time, but Ryan Kastner always catches back up by the end of the lap. So we'll see what happens as we cross the line this time.
Yeah, I mean, Kastner has got to get a little bit better out of the first corner and out through the Monza in order to be able to have more than one shot at Pegram as well. But once you get to the second half of the lap, through the cell tower, you can see Kastner's kart rotates a little bit better. He gets a little bit of that gap back. Through the double lefts, he's able to keep the tighter line. Continues to get closer and closer. He made a little bit of a mistake there. I think went a little bit wide through the kink. That's going to allow for him to be about a kart length back. But at the moment, Pegram went a little bit defensive, so that kind of offset. And then really through this back half of the lap, he's just so confident. He goes for the lead now coming through the old turn 3. He's able to get the lead. Now Ryan Kastner moves up to the race lead. So they head to the final corner. He's going to take the lead. He's going to get, for the first time all race, unseat Larry Pegram in the front. And now Pegram's going to go right back, waste no time. That kart has a lot of speed in it as well. And as you can see, Pegram does not want to be in second. He wants to be in the lead, in the control of this race. Take advantage of the speed that he has in the first half of the lap and then try again next lap, because at the moment, Kastner just has so much pace in the second half of the lap, and he's been able to catch Larry Pegram. He passed him for a moment, but Pegram wasted no time getting him right back.
Yeah, as you can see, Larry Pegram does not want to run second. He hasn't been there all weekend long, and he does not want to be there right now as he went right back down the inside as soon as Ryan Kastner got by him. Let's see what they can do as they come into the kink here, up the hill, and into the cell tower here shortly. As we look at the back of the pack, we can still see people battling back in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position. As we watch the leaders still, Ryan Kastner right there, looking to make a move, still can't get by him. Once he makes a move, he needs to protect his line, though, because if not, Larry Pegram is going to go right back down the inside as they go over the hill and down in the scale corner. Still no moves from Ryan Kastner. Let's see if Larry Pegram defends this lap. He doesn't. Ryan Kastner doesn't make a move, though, as they come to the last 2 corners here to complete lap number 7. Still, Larry Pegram in the lead, followed by Ryan Kastner very closely. This is an amazing race so far, better than any of the KA Masters races we've watched this weekend. All of them have been basically just Larry Pegram dominating, and this one is not. This one, Ryan Kastner has the pace to run with Larry Pegram, and he is going through the I-70 right there with him. We'll see if he'll be able to make a move here shortly as they go through the Monza. Ryan Kastner still right there. Ryan Kastner misses his apex a little bit there, but not that much. He only loses about a kart length or so. And we know Ryan Kastner doesn't quite have the pace on the first half of the lap, but he knows that he can do it on the second half of the lap through the cell tower and the horseshoe as they go through the green corner right here. Still no moves being made. We have about 30 seconds on the clock, so we should get the white or the 2 to go this time by. As we see there, still the back of the pack running very closely. We have a good race back there. The 2 leaders, though, still nose to tail. No changes yet as we go through the double left here. Still nose to tail as we go through the blue corner. Still nothing from Ryan Kastner as we're down to 10 seconds on the clock. This is going to be 2 to go this time by. Larry Pegram knows it, and he knows he needs to go get a gap on these last 2 laps. 3 corners to go. We're closing out lap number 8. This is going to be a 10-lap race here. Ryan Kastner still on him as we see the flag man here giving the 2 to go signals as we come across the line. Larry Pegram goes to the inside to try and break the draft. He looks back, sees Ryan Kastner is right there. Still no moves from Ryan Kastner. Ryan Kastner's going to try and wait for the last lap to see if he can make a move. As we go through the I-70 corner, still no moves being made from Ryan Kastner.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the ability to stay patient now because they've completely gapped Derek Sokol now 7 seconds back to him. He's running almost 2 seconds a lap slower than what they are, but still, I mean, Kastner, it's interesting because at the moment he's got the pace in the second half of the lap clearly, but this is the first half of the lap, which is where a lot of the opportunities are on this reverse layout. This is sort of where he struggles the most, and now looks like he's making a little bit of mistakes, kind of overdriving a little bit, and we've seen that gap kind of balloon a little bit more. And so at the moment, Larry Pegram looks pretty comfortable at the moment because not even having to defend in the second half of the lap. You can see Kastner really drives it in deep into the cell tower, trying to make up as much time as he can, but he's almost overdriving it in a sense because it's meaning that Larry Pegram's able to get better exits. He's got a better launch on his kart, and that's just he's able to control the gap a little bit. And now as they come up to the scale tower corner, coming up to 1 to go, it looks like Pegram's has enough of a gap that he's almost going to not have to defend into turn 1. We'll see. I mean, Kastner's right on the edge of the draftability to where you can get that draft enough to make a difference. But as they come now to get the white flag, we've got Pegram. Looks like he's got him covered at the moment. Kastner just cannot get quite close enough. A little bit of mistakes on that last lap. Did a 1:16.2, about 2/10 off of what Pegram was able to do. And then if you look at this race as a whole, that is just what's kept Kastner in back just a little bit. He had the one lap where he was able to get up to the lead and try to make something happen with Pegram, but Pegram wasted no time getting back by him. He's controlled the rest of the race. He's not put a foot wrong. And as you come around on the last lap, it looks like he's got this thing covered. Kastner's about 4 or 5 kart lengths back now. It just looks like he cannot quite make up the difference in time.
Yeah, as we're on the last lap here, Jason Ewers in 4th place just went green. He did a 1:16.3, only 1/10 off of Ryan Kastner. That's something to note when we come final time later today. Jason Ewers is finally picking up the pace here. As we look at the leaders, though, still, we have about 5 kart lengths separating them. Ryan Kastner didn't make his move 2 laps ago, and now he's regretting it as he's fallen back just enough to not be able to make a move. Larry Pegram takes a look back, has a gap, sees that. He's going to just hit his marks right here and finish out this lap. This is the last lap of the race, coming to the checkered flag here. He knows it. He's come through the last 2 corners. Larry Pegram has a gap. Oh, here comes Ryan Kastner. Not enough, though. Larry Pegram's going to take the pre-final win here in the KA Masters, followed closely behind Larry Pegram. Oh, no, followed close behind is Ryan Kastner. As the rest of the field comes to the finish, Jason Ewers takes over 3rd place. Great run from Jason Ewers. On the last lap, Derek Sokol made a mistake, and Jason Ewers is able to get up into the 3rd position. Super impressive from Jason Ewers as he comes back to make up to that 3rd place position, coming from 11th in the field. As the leaders still all done, and Larry Pegram was able to take the win in that one. Super impressive from Larry as he drove an amazing race, holding back Ryan Kastner the whole time. Jason Ewers takes 3rd place, Derek Sokol 4th, Jared Tracy rounding out your top 5. Chris Stevenson 6th, followed by Peter Cook, Gordon Cameron, Bob Davis, and Thomas Gerstner rounding out your top 10 here in the KA Masters division. Next up, we will have the Micro Swift division. They will be next up, and
KA. They're saying KA is going to be next up in the pre-final.
Oh yeah, we have the.
Yeah, so coming up next, you've got a 40 kart field in the KA pre-final. We saw the B pre-final earlier. We're gonna see the A pre-final next up. It's been an exciting class all weekend long, and we're gonna have it next on Kart Chaser.
Rolling out here are the KA Stars division for their pre-final A. The pre-final B contestants that finished in the top 10 automatically transfer to the final. So we have a 30-cart field here. Rolling out is Connor Ferris on the pole position, followed behind Gavin Bailiff and Chase Jones. After that would be Tyler Wettengale and what looks to be Adam Maxwell in the 5th position, rounding out your top 5. This will be a good race here. They've had exciting races all throughout the heat races, a few DNFs, but overall super clean racing, and it's going to be an exciting race. Andrew, back in the booth, what do you got to say about this one?
Well, it's the biggest field that we will see here, have seen so far this weekend in KA Stars or in the Stars Championship Series altogether. 30 drivers in total here. Again, this is the first time we're going to see the best of the best in the KA Stars class. We started this weekend with 55 in qualifying, split them in half. Connor Ferris has not gone wheel-to-wheel with Gavin Bailiff or Chase Jones yet this weekend. Tyler Wettengale the same. And again, we've seen no love lost here between the Bailiff brothers and Chase Jones. Keep an eye on some of those Kart Republic or Power Kart guys that technically are Technical Alliance teammates under different operations. Maybe not act too much like teammates here in this one. The top 10 going all the way down behind Hunter Perry, Mick Gabriel, Keegan Bosch, Gavin Griffin, and Nikita Panaris. 30 drivers, pre-final A to set the lineup for the first 30 spots in the main. And the lights have gone out. They were a little bit late going out, but the drivers are underway. They're ready to go. Here they come through turn number 1. Connor Ferris leads them. So far, nobody's gone off in the grass, it seems. And we've got a clean start for the first few starters. Ferris, Jones, Bailiff getting by on Maxwell for 3rd, and Mick Gabriel with a great start up into the top 5.
Yeah, that was an interesting start. Mick Gabriel right there does not want to let Adam Maxwell by, but he's going to have to. Adam Maxwell up into the 4th position. The top 3 have already separated from the field a good bit, actually make that the top 2. Connor Ferris and Chase Jones have a good gap on Gavin Bailiff now going up the hill and into the cell tower here. Here we have, the field ran pretty clean. I only saw 1 or 2 guys go off in I-70, which is super impressive for how big this field is as the mid-pack shuffle goes on. And we see the 2 leaders still separating as Gavin Bailiff is starting to run them back down already, and the rest of the field files in line.
Chase Jones had to look for the lead in the cell tower. Now Ferris drops a wheel going into the grid corner, puts Jones on the outside. He'll get back clear. Jones forcing the issue and gets by in the second to last corner. First pass we've seen in that turn so far this weekend, and it was definitely set up by a little bobble by the initial race leader and pole sitter. Jones, your leader, down to I-70. Gavin Bailiff behind in 3rd, and Finnegan Bailiff, of course, he's got some work to do coming from the tail. Same for Elliot Budzinski and Danny Dzelski as we see Ferris on the outside into the Monza. Bailiff with a nice move coming out of turn 1, gets through to 2nd, and here we go. There's Tyler Wettengale leading the next pack. He's got a hungry group behind him with Maxwell and Mick Gabriel, but Wettengale at least back up to where he started into 4th. Looking down to see where some of the other drivers have moved, some comers and goers early on. Again, we talked about Budzinski. He's up 3 spots. Tyler Trent up 7. They're 20th and 21st. Finnegan Bailiff's up 6 spots already to 18th. That's further down the order. Again, we'll wait to see those guys. I think both of them could easily get into the top 10 with the pace they've shown this weekend. As we watch Wettengale's group here, 4th. There's the battle for 5th. Gabriel by on Maxwell. And right at the end of that train, Nikita Panaris, who's starting to put together a really nice weekend with your leaders headed to the grid corner. Chase Jones leading over Gavin Bailiff. How long does Bailiff wait? I think he might go here in turn 1, Connor.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Gavin Bailiff looks like he's really fast, and he caught Chase Jones pretty quick that lap, and the last 2 laps even as they go purple. That's time 5. Gavin Bailiff did a 1:14.3 as he goes to the inside in turn 1. He's through. Chase Jones back to 2nd. Oh, Chase Jones hung a tire there. Connor Ferris might make a move right here into the Monza. We'll see if he does, and he doesn't. He stays behind, stays patient, as Gavin Bailiff already is out to a good 2-cart length, 3-cart length lead as they go into the red 171 hairpin here. Connor Ferris still behind Chase Jones, staying patient as Tyler Wettengale starts to close in on that lead trio.
Yeah, oh, look at that gaggle back behind.
Whoa.
They are 3 wide all the way through the mid to back pack. Elliot Budzinski's at the helm of it trying to get through. I think that's about 15th or 16th on backwards. You can see a number of different drivers all in that gaggle, so quite a dogfight there from further back down the order, whereas up front, Gavin Bailiff starting to set sail. Chase Jones came under pressure from Connor Ferris while he went away, and he was able to fend it off, but now they've got some ground to make up. Jones shaking his head a little bit. He's frustrated. Obviously was hoping Ferris would work back with him. Instead, Connor Ferris wanted to go by him, and by running side by side, instead of letting him go, I think they lost more time than just letting him go. And that's something, Connor, of course, you got to keep in mind here. When a guy's wanting to get by you, rather than forcing the issue for 4 corners to hang side by side, let him go. And if he isn't that much slower, you can follow him for a lap. Let his ego kind of get out of the way, right?
Yeah, and you know, so we got some drivers off. That looks like Hunter Perry.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, we were talking about that, but yeah, you do have to remember that this is a long race, and sometimes you just got to give it up. And Chase Jones obviously does not have the pace as Connor Ferris is already starting to pull away from him. That looks like what, Mick Gabriel as well. That's an unfortunate series of
They were
events.
inside the top 10.
Yeah, there's 2 drivers inside the top 10 there. That looks like Keegan Bosch made up a few spots from that, as well as Gavin Griffin there into the top 10. As the leaders go through the cell tower here, Gavin Bailiff still leading with a good margin, but Connor Ferris is coming in hot with Chase Jones right behind him there. And Tyler Wettengel is really starting to close the gap up as well. But last time by, Gavin Bailiff went purple. We'll see this time as they come across the line. But it looks like Connor Ferris is starting to close the gap here to the lead.
Yeah, we'll see here if that gap does close. Obviously had to work his way by Chase Jones on the front stretch that time to get through for second. He's pulled away a little bit. Obviously, Jones losing more so as the end of the lap here, and he takes a look back over the shoulder to check the margin to Tyler Wettengel. It is shrinking a little as well. Wettengel, a decent lap that time, was a 10th better than Jones. Connor Ferris was 3/10 better than Gavin Bailiff. And while he's been, won both of his heat races, obviously put himself on the pole, I don't think he was pegged throughout practice day as a guy that would have been dominant, but he was quickest in final practice. And the Team Ferris Racing Group, I talked to them a little bit. Oh, we got more drivers off the racetrack over here out of I-70, along with Gabriel. That is another one. One of the Tony cards might be the 904 of Carson Smith. And you can see he's trying to push him back up the hill, at least just to rejoin, but I think he might be done. They might let him get back going, but he spun off to the exit. Either way, Connor Ferris, the gap, 4 car lengths here.
Yeah, Connor Ferris really starting to close in the gap now. He's in the draft range, so he's really going to start closing here as he went purple last time by about 3/10 on Gavin Bailiff. As Tyler Wettengel starting to get pulled a little bit by Chase Jones, and Nikita Panaris in the top 5. Super impressive from him, as he's been running really well this weekend, but we haven't really seen him that far up, as Adam Maxwell is at the end of that train in 6th. Adam Maxwell just about makes a mistake there, but Connor Ferris is the one to talk about here. He goes 4/10 faster than Gavin Bailiff that last time by. He's going to catch him, but what is he going to do once he gets to him?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see here. Again, Wettengel having Panaris right behind, having Maxwell right behind. He can't wait if he gets to Jones to make that move. Panaris, you can see on your screen there, right up on the bumper. What a great shot that is as they go through the banking in the Monza. And that's just, obviously, it's a weird kind of feeling because we don't go to a lot of tracks that have a lot of banking, especially that high. We call it the Monza corner. Obviously, an ode to the European racetrack that has some of the highest banking out of any oval in the world. And a classic Formula One track at that. But that bank corner right there, you kind of drop in. You get that little uneasy feeling when you go in the corner, right, Connor?
Yeah, you kind of just drive it in there and hope the banking will catch you. You can drive it in a lot harder than you think you can. It's a really tight corner, but it's pretty high speed for how tight it is. And if you look out front, the leaders, Gavin Bailiff and Connor Ferris, right next to each other. I mean, Connor Ferris is there, so he's going to look to be making a move here shortly as they come through here. Tyler Wettengel under pressure as well from Nikita Panaris and Adam Maxwell. Adam Maxwell looks like he wants to make up some spots as well, as he's at the tail end of that field. But still, the leaders, Connor Ferris and Gavin Bailiff. Connor Ferris goes purple again that last time by. Nobody else other than Adam Maxwell is even near him, other than Gavin Bailiff as well. The two of them are the fastest go-karts on the track right now. But we're going to have to see what Connor Ferris does. Will he try and pass Gavin, or will he just stay there and wait until the last few laps? We have about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, so we still have a little bit of time here. Probably about three or four more laps left to go. We'll see when they come around this next time by. But still, Connor Ferris right there on Gavin Bailiff, but looks like he's staying patient and waiting to make a move.
Yeah, not super urgent for him. Now let's give you an update while we look back down the order here. Finnegan Bailiff has cracked the top 10. 14 spots gained for Gavin's older brother Finnegan in the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic as well. There's the lead group coming on through. We'll wait and pick them up. There goes the Chesero and Keegan Bosch, who's also coming forward. And there's Gavin Griffin. There is Finnegan Bailiff up into the 10th spot. And right behind him, the next one on the order, Elliot Budzinski's in a battle for 11th. He's up 12 spots just ahead of Jonah Hanran. So again, drivers that are working their way up the order as there goes the pack on through. There goes DeCestro and Bosch again, Griffin and Bailiff on through. So Finnegan Bailiff making up for that rough second heat race while his brother Gavin continues to show the way over Connor Ferris down to turn number 1. No changes really through the group too much except for Tyler Wettengel. He's lost that 4th spot. You mentioned Panaris was coming. Well, he's gone by him. And the leaders headed into the Monza section here now have an even bigger gap because Chase Jones has fallen further back, but he hasn't had pressure for it. Here's pressure for the lead. Ferris is by in the red 171 hairpin.
Yeah, Ferris waited a couple of laps but realized that he was too fast. He just had to get in front of Gavin Bailiff before it was too late. Kind of like what we saw in the KA Masters division with Ryan Kastner and Larry Pegram. Larry stayed in front for most of the race, and Ryan Kastner stayed behind. But then Ryan Kastner, on the last few laps, made a couple of mistakes and wasn't able to make a move for the lead. But Connor Ferris is in the lead now and is able to control this race. While behind, Nikita Panaris is right up on Chase Jones, just about for that 3rd position. Nikita Panaris, super impressive run for him so far, but still Connor Ferris, as you can see, about a 2 or 3 car length gap for him as he comes through the last few corners here to complete the 8th lap of this race. We're going to have about 3 laps to go as there's about 13 seconds left on the clock. Coming down the front straightaway here, Connor Ferris takes a look back, sees he has a gap. Chase Jones looks back as well. He sees he does not have much of a gap. Connor Ferris, though, still controlling this race.
Yeah, Connor Ferris doing a fine job out front here. As you mentioned, controlling the race by setting the fastest lap of the session last time by. Little mistake there in the Monza that time. The front end hiked up on him. I think he drove it a little bit too deep. And now Bailiff back on the bumper as they exit the red 171 corner. They'll head to the green turn here. Obviously, we've gotten to the time limit now, so the double sticks will fly next time by. But as they head towards the cell tower hairpin, only a kart length between them. At least they've got a 1.5 seconds, pushing 2 back to Chase Jones. So they've got time to fight if they want to.
Yeah, here we go as the leaders come through the double left here. Gavin Bailiff right up next to Connor Ferris here for the lead of this race. Chase Jones still under pressure from Nikita Panaris as Nikita Panaris is looking to make a move, hopefully here soon. But here we go, 2 laps to go. Coming across the start-finish line here shortly will be Connor Ferris. Yes, 2 to go here. Gavin Bailiff looks back. Connor Ferris looks back, sees Gavin Bailiff right there as they go into the I-70 corner. Gavin Bailiff gave him a little pointer finger, said, let's work together. Don't battle too soon. We don't want to let Chase Jones catch up to us. And here they come through the I-70 corner and into the Monza. As you can see, Connor Ferris not defending it all yet. Waiting for the last lap to make his move is Gavin Bailiff. As they come through the red 171 hairpin here, Gavin Griffin still in 10th place, followed by, or no, in front of that is Gavin Bailiff.
Change for the lead. So Bailiff going by. As you mentioned there, Finnegan Bailiff up to 9th. He's moved Gavin Griffin back to 10th, but Gavin Bailiff went by in the red 171 corners. So that's a move right there of pointing forward, saying move forward. That requires a lot of trust. Yeah, and a lot of times they go in the first corner that you tell them to do that.
Yeah, you can never trust pointers on the last 2 laps
I've seen
of the
you
race.
do that,
All
too.
right, yeah, I'm saying, well, you can't trust pointers on the last 2 laps of the race, whether it's from me or from someone else. It's just when it comes down to the last few laps of the race, nobody can trust anybody, even when they're teammates or brothers or whatever it is.
He even signaled right there on that short shoot, right there, with a little tap of the helmet.
Yeah,
he
work
wants it
with
to
me,
push
man.
him. Yeah, follow me to the
last lap.
checkered
Yeah,
flag.
let's just work together. Come on.
Yeah, here they go. White flag in the air. Bailiff with a look back. He sees Ferris is right there. When does Connor Ferris have an answer? Is it turn 1? It is not. He'll exit I-70, trailing as Bailiff takes him high, and they head towards the Monza.
Yeah, Connor Ferris still following behind Gavin Bailiff as they have about a kart length in between them as they head through the Monza. Connor Ferris is looking to make a move here soon. It's the last lap of the race, about 8 corners left to go. We'll see if Connor Ferris will get close enough to make a move into the green corner. It looks not. We'll see if he can make a move into the cell tower coming up here shortly. Going through the kink here shortly will be Connor Ferris and Gavin Bailiff as they go through the kink. No moves yet to be made. 1 lap to go here, half a lap to go. 5 corners or so. We'll see if Connor Ferris, nope, Gavin Bailiff covers off the inside, not able to make the move there.
Look at that battle back behind them for 3rd. They're going at it. The leaders are coming through. They've traded spots. Chase Jones has lost the 3rd spot. I think Nikita Panaris has gone by. And here they come, the leaders. Final time into the back 90s as we'll pick them up. The battle for 3rd is going on as well. The leaders coming towards the final corner. No change up front. Bailiff looking good, so we'll watch this fight. Panaris is through. Here they come to the checkers. Gavin Bailiff wins out over Connor Ferris. And across the line for third, Nikita Panaris hangs on over Chase Jones, Tyler Wettengel, Adam Maxwell, your top 6. Let's go back through where everyone else ended up here because, again, it was a good fight to the end for the top 5. It was also a lot of fighting back behind them. Bailiff, Ferris, Panaris, Jones, Wettengel, the top 5. Maxwell 6, Keegan Bosch ends up back in 7th, gets by his teammate Anthony DeCesaro late in the going to pull away a little bit. And Finnegan Bailiff, 15 spots gained to get to 9th. Elliot Budzinski, 13 gained to 10th. And Danny Gazelski gets the fastest lap of the race with 2 laps to go. Picks up 11 spots to 11. So 3 drivers that all were in the lead group in their heat races are now going to be starting in the first 5 or 6 rows for the main event. So all of our major contenders are back in it here, Connor.
Yeah, the top 3, when you said their names, it kind of sounded like a rap song. Bailiff, Ferris, and Panaris as they finished in the top 3. Super interesting race here. Connor Ferris is going to settle for 2nd place, though. With that pass in the red 171 corner, Bailiff got himself the win. Next up, I'm not sure what's next up, but we'll see you soon as we go to commercial break. You're watching Kart Chaser.
We'll be right back.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Here come the Micro Swift drivers rolling out on the track. Caleb Tarter looks like our pole sitter here, followed by Cameron Marcia and Marco Samat. It's going to be a good race. These guys have been super close in both of their heat races. We've had like the top 7, and within like, you could throw a blanket over them. As we have 1 driver slow on the warm-up, 2 drivers slow on the warm-up up the 41 car. Looks like he's not able to get going. We'll get a name on that one from Stoner.
So Ian Stoner looked like he was starting somewhere in the middle of the field. He's out of this race right now on the warm-up lap. The minimum is kind of stuck there, and we'll have to see what happens with him. But certainly, I mean, this has been a very fun category so far this weekend. As you do see that Stoner is getting out of the cart. It looks like his race is over before it even begins here. And so not a good way to start off the race for Stoner, but certainly, I mean, you've got a lot of talented guys up at the front. In the pre-final, or in Heat 2, we saw this was a class that had about 6 or 7 guys that had the capability and the pace to potentially win. Obviously, one guy that sticks out in this field that had issues in both of the heat races was AJ Stoner, your pole sitter for this weekend. Ended up having a rough Heat 2, got pushed off the track in that exit of the I-70 corner, and now we see they're lining up for the get start of the race. I believe that is
Marco Samet on the pole position alongside of Caleb Tartar. Starting third will be Kai Mars, our Heat 1 winner, as we've got some drama in the back of the pack. Everyone's putting their hand up. Hopefully they'll be able to get caught back up. But on the second row on the outside, we have Cameron Marcia. Everyone is waving their hands to slow down. I seem like we're going pretty slow, but I guess they're getting hit from behind. So we're going to come into the tram lines here. Marco Samet leading our field to the green. Caleb Tartar on the outside. We're already on the gas. Red lights are on, and we are green. Away we go with the Micro Swift division here in Newcastle. Green into turn 1. Marco Samet is leading the race so far. We got Kai Mars following him through and getting by Caleb Tartar on the start right there. Caleb Tartar is back into third, and that looks like Caleb Johnson up into the 4th position. Super impressive run from him so far this weekend. As they go wide, Cameron Marshall runs wide as well. But we are still racing here into the red 171 hairpin. Marco Samet still leading, followed by Kai Mars and Caleb Tartar, as we're 3 wide through the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you see a really good start there for Caleb Tartar. Kai Mars as well followed him through. Mars won the first heat race and has had pace all weekend long. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do in this pre-final. Obviously, I mentioned he had contact with Stoner in that race, but also just in general, really fast car all weekend. Tartar, in the meantime, has been really quick as well. You can see he's wasting no time. You've got Marco Sama up at the front of the field. He was able to pull away at the end of the last heat race, and so far early on, it looks like he's comfortable leading this race. And at the moment, it's about a 2-car breakaway with him and Mars, and then back to Caleb Tartar in third, kind of by himself, though he makes a lot of time through the scale line corner, and then coming on to the last couple of corners now, you've got about 5 cars up at the front, then a big gap back to 6th, which I believe might be Cameron Marcia.
Yeah, Cameron Marcia running in 5th, right at the tail end of that first pack. Caleb Johnson in 4th, Kai Mars 3rd, Marco Samet in the lead, with Caleb Tartar there in 3rd. Super tight race so far between the top 3. Looks like they're working together pretty well, with Caleb Johnson trying to catch him in 4th place, getting pushed by Cameron Marcia. As they head through the Monza here, still no change of position. Marco Samet misses his corner a little bit, but still, Kai Mars is going to stay behind him and stay patient while they go through the red 171 corner. They're all still in line, missing a corner a little bit right there, but still no changes for position as they head into the green corner.
Yeah, I mean, Kai Mars got a little bit squirrel in the exit of the red 171 corner, and certainly he's had a lot of pace as well, but at the same time, this micro class, you have so many people drafting that one mistake, one lap where you go off the track or something can really ruin your race. And so it's important that these guys keep control of the race. As you see, Samet's not been able to pull away at all, which is kind of to be expected. Caleb Tartar looked like he tried something to the inside of Kai Mars and the double left. Did not work out for him. As now they head down towards the scale line, you can see that Samet's been able to get about a kart length or 2 gap because of that. And now Kai Mars is a little bit behind him, and he's got a little bit of a gap to Caleb Tartar as well. Really, the top 5 all have had about equal pace in this race after the first couple corners. And so it's really just going to come down to working the draft at the moment. And certainly, it looks like Samet's got a good...
It looks like Caleb Tartar's pointing them by right here on the front straightaway. We might have an issue here for Caleb Tartar as he's going slow down the straightaway. That's not a good sign for him, as he got passed by 2 carts on the straightaway and is now getting gapped by the right. Yeah, he's pointing people by. There is something wrong with Caleb Tartar.
Looks like the exhaust pipe fell off.
Yeah, his exhaust. Oh, my gosh. That's one that I haven't seen before. Wow, his exhaust pipe is hanging on his right rear. That is very unfortunate for Caleb Tartar. Whoa, that is not what you want to see right there. That's an unfortunate event for Caleb Tartar, as he's going to go to the very tail end of the field, and he's not going to be able to run at the front for the main event. He's going to have to start at the back. Unfortunate for Caleb Tartar, but we have to focus back in on our leaders. Our leader now, Kai Mars. He got past Marco Samet as we were watching Caleb Tartar fall to the tail end of the field there. But still, Kai Mars is controlling the field now. Behind him is Marco Samet, followed by Cameron Marcia. Cameron Marcia able to go from 6th to 3rd just on this lap. Super impressive from him. Another kart that has fallen back. I feel like we had one more in there. No, I think Christopher Yautzi. He's around the 4th position now. AJ Stoner up into the 4th position. Super impressive from him as well, as we come through the last few corners here to finish out lap number 3. Our leader, Kai Mars, followed by Marco Samet and Cameron Marcia.
You've got AJ Stoner, like you mentioned, up into P4. He started this race in 8th place, so already a good start for him. Holden Harder's made up a couple of places as well in the middle part of the top 10. And it looks like it's about a 7 or 8 kart group up at the front of the field. And obviously now you've got, it was like Cameron Marcia trying to make a move on Kai Mars up at the front of the field behind Marco Samet as well. And so at the moment, Mars briefly had the lead. Samet's been in the front of the field for most of the time, but really this whole group has had the pace, and it's just going to come down to track position. You see Holden Harder has made up a few places. You see that AJ Stoner has had the pace all weekend long. I mean, he has been probably one of the 3 or 4 fastest karts in this class, obviously qualified on pole. A couple issues in the pre-final, but at the moment he's latched onto the back of these front 3, and we'll see how patient he is. I mean, he's someone that hasn't had his chance to lead many laps in the pre-final and certainly, or in the heat races, and certainly in this pre-final. It's going to be interesting to see, because between him and Marcia, you have guys that have had to make up some positions throughout this weekend. And now, I mean, you've got Sama and Mars content to run up at the front, and we'll see how aggressive those guys in the second part of the pack are.
Yeah, as we watch Kai Mars back to second place here, Marco Samet leading, Cameron Marcia still following right there in third position as we come to the last few corners here. AJ Stoner right there in fourth position. We have the top 6 all right next to each other. That looks like Adam Woolridge up a few spots right there into the top 6, I'm thinking that is, and he just went purple. Super quick lap time from Adam Woolridge as he's at the tail end of that first pack. As we pass a lap car here, we go a little bit too wide, 2 by 2 by 2 through there. Kai Mars regains the lead, and Cameron Marcia follows him through as Cameron Marcia makes his first appearance in the top 2 this weekend so far. Super impressive from him after a little bit of a rough qualifying. Marco Samet is not going to sit behind, though. He goes straight back into the second position behind Kai Mars, and he wants the lead taken back from Kai Mars. Kai Mars goes to the left-hand green corner right there. Marco Samet trying to close that gap, and he's followed by Cameron Marcia and AJ Stoner back in fourth position right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cameron Marcia, he's been a guy that has had a lot of pace this year. Obviously, USPKSA GoPro, he's really up there as well. And obviously, here at the Stars Championship up at Newcastle, he qualified kind of poorly. He's been sort of in the back half of the top 10 for most of the weekend. But now, I mean, he's in the top 3 in the pre-final. He's right near Marco Samet, although this lap he's kind of lost a couple of tenths. And it looks like he's got all the potential in the world to be a contender for the podium today. But in the meantime, Kai Mars has been able to get up to the front over the last lap. He's got a couple of kart lengths gap to Marco Samet. Those two have controlled this race as of now. And obviously now you're starting to see that front pack that was all right there together split up. I mean, you look down, got Adam Woolridge has had a rough lap and he's kind of dropped off the tail. Holden Harder as well. And so basically it's the front 2 have a gap back to the next 2. And then after that, the whole entire pack has just kind of been split up. So Kai Mars back up to the lead. He just had a personal best on that lap, which is still almost 7.5 tenths off of what Adam Woolridge was able to do on the previous lap, which kind of just shows the pace that Woolridge has. But certainly, I mean, it looks like Mars, Samet, Marcia, and Stoner are the 4 guys that have been up at the front. As we see Stoner has made a move up to third. Is he going to make a move to second here into the green corner? He's going to think about it. Decides to stick behind Samet, but at the moment, it is really coming together for AJ Stoner, a guy who had the issues in the couple of heat races. Now, he looks like he is all over Marco Samet. Samet goes defensive into the kink. That is a really kind of unconventional place to go defensive. But at the same time, Stoner has just been that fast that you have to feel the pressure at all times. And now the front 4 getting back condensed together. Stoner right behind Samet. Samet's caught up to Kai Mars over the course of this lap. And it looks like Cameron Marcia's got the pace to keep up with him as well. And so just coming down into the scale line corner, you can really see just the kind of pace that Kai Mars has. He gets a better exit out of the kink, and that allows him to have just enough of a gap that he's not under fire coming through the back half of the lap.
Yeah, AJ Stoner, I don't want to commentators curse him, but he has been fast, and he's got all the kinks out of it in the heat race, and he's up at the front back again. He qualified on pole and has been super fast so far this weekend. As we watch here, oh, what's going to go happen? Oh, Marco Samet to the lead, followed by Kai Mars. AJ Stoner wasn't able to get around him as Cameron Marcia and AJ Stoner go side by side through the Monza. And Marco Samet still leading this race, going into the red 171 hairpin right here. Will Kai Mars overtake for the lead again? No, he won't. He's going to stay patient behind. As we have a yellow flag, that looks like the 41 of Elam Stoner off the track. Once again, he had an issue on the warm-up lap, and he's having an issue again. Our leaders should be able to get through that clean. Yes, they do. Kai Mars is still trailing behind Marco Samet here as we go across the line. As we're going to come across the line here to finish lap number 7. They go through the cell tower. No change in positions yet. We have about 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock, so we're going to have 4 laps to go. 3 laps to go, and we cross the line this time by. 3.5 laps to go. Here we go. This is when it's going to start getting intense as the drivers feel the pressure. They're going to start making the moves that they weren't making earlier in this race. Cameron Marcia up to 3rd position. AJ Stoner in 4th. Holden Harder finishing out that top 5 group in the the magic cart that he is in. He's fast. He's been kind of one to watch. He hasn't really done that much in this race, but he has been there, and he is going to be there at the end of this one. Marco Samet tucks his head down. Not enough, though. Looks like Cameron Marsha is going to follow Kai Mars through. Kai Mars to the lead. Cameron Marsha to second. AJ Stoner is going to try and get in there and get into third, and he does. There goes Marco Samet. Marco Samet's off the track. Back into the 6th position. It looks like Adam Woolridge is going to take advantage of that as well as he goes by. And that looks like Kai Mars. We just had AJ Stoner almost hung a tire as well. That looks like Holden Harder up into the 3rd position. He's not even having to do anything to gain these positions as Cameron Marsh is up into 2nd. The top 2 kind of have a gap to the rest of the pack right now. And as they go through the green corner, still Kai Mars leading this race. Cameron Marsha takes a look over his shoulder. Nobody is there. He's clear. All he has to do, pass Kai Mars. He's got one guy in front of him. We got 2 laps to go as we come across the line this time by. 2.5 laps left as they go through the cell tower. No change in position. Kai Mars still leading this race. 2 laps to go this time by as they go through the blue corner here. Cameron Marsha following closely behind. When will he make his move? Will he wait for the last lap or will he do it with 2 to go? We'll find out right here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at those last lap and you see the mistake that Marco Samet made and just kind of being stuck on the outside of turn 1 really cost him. He went all the way from 1st to 6th in one corner. Looks like he's made back 1 position on Adam Woolridge to get back into 5th, but at the moment you got 2 to go. You got the front 2. Kai Mars goes defensive. It's not enough though. Cameron Marsha down the inside into turn 1, taking over the lead of the race for I believe the first time all weekend. He's up into the point.
Looks back 3 times coming out of the I-70 corner. He wants to know where they are as they go into the Monza corner. Cameron Marsha is defending his line, his clear visor. You can see his eyes. He looks back again. He's looking back 4 times so far this lap. He wants, looks back again.
Overdrove it. Overdrove it.
And now what happens when you look back. Don't look back. He looks back again, and look, he misses his corner. He's around the outside. Will he get pushed off? No. Kai Mars leaves him space as they go through the kink here. Still Cameron Marsha. Cameron Marsha looks back again. That's 7 times in 1 lap. And Kai Mars is going to take advantage of him. He knows that Cameron Marsha is feeling the pressure. Cameron Marsha is looking back every single corner. Kai Mars to the lead as they go through the double left here. As you can see, Marco Samet is starting to reel them back in as he's in 4th there. You can kind of see him on the edge of your screen right there. But still, Cameron Marsha looking back again and again. That's 11 times in 1 lap. Again! Oh, my. Cameron Marsha is worried about what's behind him. That is not what you want to be worried about right now. He is in 2nd place. He needs to look forward and watch what's in front of him. Here we go. White flag. 1 more lap to go as we come across the line. Cameron Marsha up to P2, looks back again, and they go into the I-70 corner. He is not going to make the move. Kai Mars defends it as they come through the I-70 corner. Here they come. Last lap. This is going to be it as we catch a lap car here. Cameron Marsha looks back. He sees they're right behind him right there. Holden Harder is in 3rd, one that we have not talked that much about. He's kind of been silent, but he's been making his way up the field. Cameron Marsha looks back. He's still there. Kai Mars leading this race as they catch the lap car. Will he get in the way? No, I don't think so. Well, he could. As we go through the green corner, they're all going to get by the lap car here. Cameron Marsha to the lead. Oh, my. Cameron Marsha takes the lead. Holden Harder goes up to 2nd place. Kai Mars back to 3rd. Marco Samet right there in 4th place as Adam Woolridge is in the fight as well. He's right there in 5th place.
Somehow Cameron Marsha has looked back more times. He's almost been looking more towards the reverse than he is forward, but at the same time, he's managed to get himself into the lead of the race. And with only a few corners left, it looks like he might be able to hang on this one. And then as well, Holden Harder has kind of just silently put himself up into the top 2, and now he's going to go for a move into the scale line corner.
Cameron Marsha did not block enough.
For some reason, he
looked back every time, but does not block enough.
He's going to try around the outside. He's going to cross over. This is going to get interesting coming into the last corner. It looks like Holden Harder kind of was anonymous all race, but he's going to pick up the pre-final victory and start on pole for the final. Cameron Marsha ends up P2, Kai Mars P3, Marco Samet P4, and AJ Stoner rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, Cameron Marsha finishes 2nd after a last lap pass into the scale tower corner. He looked back, saw he was there, but forgot to defend enough. Holden Harder gets through and takes the win of the pre-final in Micro Swift. That's going to set your grid. Holden Harder 1st. Outside of him will be Cameron Marsha. Kai Mars 3rd. Marco Samet 4th after a unfortunate series of events took him off the track in I-70 and put him back, but he manages to salvage a 4th place finish. AJ Stoner rounds out your top 5 after running up front all race. Adam Woolridge with the fastest lap of the race finishes 6th. Christopher Yautsy in 7th. Grady Cronick in 8th. Danny O'Gara in 9th. And Gage Harden rounding out your top 10. That was an interesting race to say the least. I mean, passing every single lap, every single corner almost. Super, super good driving from these young guys and a lot of clean racing. We didn't have anyone drive off. Well, we had a few people drive off, but no DNFs out of the front few drivers. So super impressive from all these kids, showing great sportsmanship and racecraft at such a young age. Great to see from them. Hopefully they can have another clean race in the main event later today. Next up is going to be our Master Shifter category. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Getting ready to go here. This is the 27 kart field of the Master Shifters. Whoa, this is going to be an interesting race. I mean, there's a lot of these guys out here. This is a little bit longer of a race, so a little bit more physically demanding, but I'm sure these guys are in shape for what they are ready to go through here. But I'm looking forward to watching this one, as it's going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the field, and I mean, this was one of the more exciting Heat 2 races. I mean, Joe Ruck had a really good race against Evan Batt. Ruck has been a little bit off the pace from what Batt's been able to do for most of the weekend, but yet in that race, Ruck was able to use his racecraft and use some of his experience to defend against Batt and really come through when it mattered most. And really, he was able to get the whole shot at the start and just did not look back. Only briefly lost the lead to Batt, and then at the end of the day, those two had really checked out from the rest of the field. So their battle, they were just a 1-2. It was a 2-horse race, and we'll see how this goes in the pre-final. I believe Batt is starting on the point from Joe Ruck, but at the same time, I mean, this is such a tightly condensed field. Anything can happen on shifter starts. It usually does happen. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, these are two guys that have been closely matched and have a lot of talent and a lot of experience racing each other.
Yeah, the two of them. Joe Rook has started second both heat races, and he was able to get the whole shot in both of their heat races as well. So we'll see if something changes here for Evan Batt. Maybe he went out in the parking lot and practiced his starts a little bit, because he sure needed to after falling back to second on both of the starts. Joe Rook has got those starts nailed down, and we'll see what they're able to do this time as we take the green flag. And looks like Lance Lane is getting his gloves on still. He must have been a little slow getting off the grid. As the rest of the field comes through here. But still, super big field, super impressive turnout for this master field in the shifter master category. These guys, I don't know how they do it at their age. I can barely do it at my age. So props to all these guys. Like I said before, this is going to be a good race after the race we saw in the second heat race with these guys.
Yeah, now they're forming up the grid. Looks like almost everyone has made it to their starting position. We're going to see the 5 red lights. Obviously, in shifters, it's very critical to get a quick reaction. Make sure you don't stall it on the grid. We've seen that happen a number of times on national level stuff, and obviously, master drivers getting ready, getting set. The lights are going 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 lights, 5 red lights, and it's out. And away they go, and it looks like a pretty evenly matched start between Ruck and Bat.
Oh, we got one in the lake. Oh my, that was terrible. He is deep in the lake there, but our leaders, Evan Batt and Joe Ruck, are into the Monza. That is unfortunate for that driver. He is going swimming in the lake over there right now. Very unfortunate to see that happen for him. But anyway, Joe Ruck got the whole shot once again. Evan Batt fell back to second. This is kind of what we saw in the last heat race, but we'll have to wait and find out what will Evan Batt be able to do to get around him this time.
Yeah, I mean, Bat has had probably the superior pace. We saw in that heat race, he lost about a second on the first lap and then had to gradually claw that back. This time he's right on Ruck's bumper. It looks like he's going for it on the outside of the cell tower, going to the double F. They've made brief contact, I think, but at the same time, able to keep position. Bat is able to muscle his way up to the lead now over Joe Ruck. And then beyond that, I mean, it is a whole entire train full of carts, which we did not see in the first race. Meanwhile, you've got a big little bit of a gap between about like 9th and 10th, but at the same time, I mean, it looks like someone's going after Joe Ruck for P2, but Bat has been able to get away. He's got a clear track this time. We'll see if he can pull away like we saw in the first heat.
Yeah, the first heat race, Evan Batt was able to get himself a gap and start to pull away. Jason Campbell looks to make a move on Joe Ruck. He's not going to be able to make it stick as they go through the I-70 corner. Evan Batt's really starting to pull away from him in his Team Ferris Racing kart as they go through the Monza corner here. The rest of the field filing in line. It looks like Jason Campbell may have lost a position or two. No, he's still in third there, but he's heavily under pressure from Scott Presti and Rod Clenard right behind him. Yeah. Oh, we got a car off right here in the red 171 hairpin. That looks like Hugh Templeman. Unfortunate for him as he goes off track. Yeah, but we'll continue to watch the leaders here as Evan Batt really starting to pull away from the rest of the field as they go through the double left and into the blue corner over here.
Yeah, it looked like Campbell had a look down the inside of Evan Batt coming into turn 1, just could not make it stick, and he ended up losing quite a bit of time as a result. Came under 5 for P3. He's kind of gotten away from that group now as well. Looking down the rest of the field, you've got Scott Presti in P4 and Rod Clenard in P5. These guys are all still kind of closely put together, something we didn't really see yesterday quite as much, and certainly not today in Heat 2. But at the same time, Evan Batt still goes purple with a 109.3. But all of these guys are running for shifter standards, not overly far out the pace, only about 5, 6, 7 tenths, which obviously over the course of a race is going to stack up, and it's not going to remain this close. But still, it's good to see Ruck is at least in the same stratosphere as Batt and is only a couple tenths off the pace, and maybe that can change over the course of the race. But still, a really good start for Evan Batt. Jason Campbell as well looks like he has more pace than we saw in some of the heat races. He's been able to claw his way kind of onto the tail end of Joe Ruck over the first couple of laps, and Ruck has been able to make up some good time on this lap compared to Evan Batt coming through the first part of this lap.
Yeah, Jason Campbell really impressive right now. The last few heat races have only been the story of Ruck and Batt, but this time Campbell is right there, ready to make a move if something happens to the lead two. But anyway, Joe Ruck really starting to close the gap down to Evan Batt as they go through the blue corner and down into the scale corner. Coming up here shortly, it looks like Joe Ruck is really fast right now. His kart's handling well. I don't know if Evan Batt has made a mistake or something, but it looks like he's really starting to get caught by Joe Ruck as they go through the last few corners here. There's about 3 kart lengths separating the two of them. Evan Batt wiggles a little bit coming across the line. He's looking back and seeing that he has a little bit of a gap here. Joe Ruck's really trying to make a move on him here. Joe Ruck, as you could tell from the second heat race, really likes leading the race. So if he gets there, he's really going to try and make a move. So we'll have to wait and find out and see what Joe Ruck's strategy is.
You can see Ruck is just really aggressive on the brakes, made up about a kart length on the entry to Monza just from out-braking Batt. You can see, will he pay the price for that later on? I mean, certainly the tires do go away pretty quickly in shifter at times. You can see Ruck is really muscling that kart around. I mean, he is throwing in there, trying everything he can to close back up to Batt. And it worked last lap. He was a couple tenths clear of what Batt was able to do with a 108.8. But now you're starting to see maybe some of the effects of it. If he overdrives it a little bit, slides it, he loses time. Now, over the last couple turns, he's lost even more. He's about 3 or 4 kart lengths back now. He was all the way up to within a kart length earlier in the lap. And now you see that Jason Campbell has closed the gap on him. And it's almost as close to Ruck as Ruck is to Evan Batt in P1. But at the moment, it's those 3 kind of each in the league of their own. And then you've got a battle for 4th between Scott Presti and Rod Clenard. for a bit of a gap back to Justin Kelly in P6. And I mean, really, those front three have been able to already clear about a 3-second gap back to the rest of the field as Bat resets fastest time. Ruck goes only a 1/10.5 slower, and Jason Campbell is in P3, kind of splitting the difference from a time standpoint.
Yeah, Rook was able to go faster the last lap, but Evan Batt reset it this lap and goes purple with a 108.6, about a 1/10.5 faster than Rook. Rook's going to have some time to make up if he wants to go for the pre-final win here. Remember, there's still a final after this, though, so it doesn't really, there's no trophies being handed out for this race, but still, you always want to get that further up starting position. Not like it matters that much in shifter because you're side by side, but still being on the inside doesn't hurt as they go through the cell tower corner here. Jason Campbell really following closely behind Joe Rook. Maybe he'll be able to make a move here shortly. Jason Campbell is only 1/10 off the leader and half a tenth faster than Joe Rook last time by. So we'll see if Jason Campbell has the speed to make a move. Super impressive from him, though. Like I said, he wasn't that close in the heat races, but now he is.
And at the moment, now you can see the battle for fourth right now. Scott Presti has been able to stay right ahead of Rod Quinard in P5, and both of those guys have decent pace, but again, it's just those front three in a league of their own. I mean, Bat, again, slowed down a little bit last time. That allowed both Ruck and Campbell to go quicker on that lap, and Jason Campbell actually did a 108.60, so almost 3/10 quicker than what Bat was able to do. Meanwhile, down the field, John Stapleton's gone purple. Or I think that was a timing glitch. Yeah.
He did a 59. He's about 10 seconds faster than the whole field.
Yeah. Anyways, though, Evan Batt has been able to keep a consistent pace up at the front, but it's not like past races where we've seen that Ruck and Campbell just don't have the pace, and Campbell in particular looks really fast at this point in the race.
Yeah, Campbell ran a time about 3/10 faster than Batt last time by, and if he continues to do that, by the end of this race, he should be able to catch up to Evan Batt, but of course he's got to get through Joe Rook first, and it looks like this lap he made a mistake as he's lost a little bit of time to the lead two. Joe Rook still can't really close that gap to Evan Batt. Evan Batt's been putting down consistent lap times, just consistently pulling away little by little from the two behind him.
Yeah, and at the moment, Batt just seems to have it all under control. He's not really forcing too much on his tires. That's going to pay dividends later on. Certainly, Ruck had a little bit of a phase where he was really aggressive, going for trying to catch Batt, and at the moment, it looks like that's really paying off for Batt, although everyone's time slowed down on that lap, and Jason Campbell in particular looked like he made a huge mistake as he fell off almost half a second to what Evan Batt did. And in the meantime, I mean, the guys in 4th, 5th, and 6th are running a pretty decent pace as we've got a yellow flag, and looks...
That looks like Lane... Who would that be? Yeah, I think that's Lane off the track in the Monza. That's unfortunate for him. He was running in the top... I don't really. Where was he running? I think that happened last lap, actually. Yeah, Lance Lane last lap. He was further back, but still unfortunate for him as he's been fast all weekend long, and he's going to have to start the final from the tail end of the field as he has gotten out of his go-kart. But back to the leaders here. Evan Batt looks like he may have made a mistake here because Joe Rook closed the gap a lot right here. So we'll see if they continue to close that gap, or is Evan Batt going to get back on the gas and start pulling away from Joe Rook.
Yeah, it's like Ruck just cannot get within a couple of kart lengths. Every time he does, he makes a mistake and falls further back. We'll see if this lap is the time when that changes. They're coming up to a lap cart now as they come down. Looks like we're going to have about 4 laps to go in this race, and certainly Batt has been able to control it from the get-go. But Ruck and Campbell, I mean, they're continuing to run times that are as quick, if not a little bit quicker than what Batt's able to do. I mean, last time Batt did a 109.0, Ruck did a 108.8, Campbell did a 108.9. They're all three running similar times, and if they were closer together, as you see right now coming through Monza, it looks like Ruck has gotten closer together. Might make for some more entertainment. Will Ruck be aggressive here? He's maybe takes a little peek down the inside, but doesn't quite commit to it. Now, though, he's right on the back of Batt. You have to think coming soon he's going to try to make a move because we saw what Joe Ruck did in the heat race. We saw how aggressive he was in trying to keep that position. He knows that he's evenly matched in this race with Evan Batt, and we know that he has the potential to be right there up at the front. And with about 4 to go, we're going to see just how aggressive he is to try to get this pre-final win.
Yeah, Joe Rook, he's going to try and do everything he can. We have about 1 minute on the clock left to go, so we're going to have 3 laps to go this time by. As we come through the last few corners right here, Joe Rook is right on your leader of Evan Batt. Looking at the last 2 corners here, no changes for the top 3 yet, but Jason Campbell staying right there. If there's any battling between the top 2, I think Jason Campbell will be able to get in between the 2 of them. So we'll see as the race progresses. Oh, there goes Joe Rook, and he's through in the lead. Joe Rook has taken the lead in the I-70 corner, and he has passed Evan Batt, but Evan Batt's trying to battle back and try and get back inside of him, but he is not going to be able to. Joe Rook defends his lead in the Monza corner, and he is officially your new leader in the Master Shifter class. As they go into the red 171 corner, no changes in the lead yet, but we'll see as they continue. Evan Batt's already starting to get pulled away from a little bit here. Maybe Evan Batt overheated his tires a little bit too much, and Joe Rook was saving them behind him. We'll see as this race progresses. We have about 2.5 laps to go. As they come across the stripe here, the time will run out, and they will hit the 2 lap to go, double sticks in the air. But still, Joe Rook is looking good so far, but Evan Batt right there as they continue to go through here. And Jason Campbell is right there as well. Super impressive. Jason Campbell, like we've been talking about, he's been able to really close the gap up to those 2 leaders, unlike he hasn't been able to do that all weekend long. So I think he must have figured out something either with his driving or the go-kart, because he is right there as we hit this double sticks. 2 laps to go here in the Master Shifter category. Joe Rook has about 2 kart lengths going in the I-70 corner as he catches lap traffic, but that's not going to change anything as the lap traffic gets out of the way. Good job by him as they go into the Monza corner here. Still about 3 kart lengths separates the top 2.
Yeah, Rook has been able to get back up to the lead, and this time, unlike in Heat 2, I feel like he actually has the pace to really keep up and run at the front of the race. And obviously, this is something that we've seen from Joe Rook. He's been able to kind of out-racecraft Evan Batt a little bit, but at the moment, it looks like just the 3 of him, between him, Batt, and Campbell, they're running all right there together, and we'll see how it goes. There's only a couple laps left in this race. Obviously, you've got Rook has the track position. You've got Batt, who's been the most consistent all weekend long, and you've got Campbell, who arguably has been the fastest kart in this race over the course of the race. And so as they come together, they're all 3 within about 5 kart lengths now. And so Evan Batt now, we'll see how he deals with being in second now. It's been a while. It's been really since the end of the last year race where he had to make a pass. And so he's kind of been able to sort of be out in this clear sunset. And so now to come around, coming to, I believe,
One to go. So
yeah,
white flag is in the air. Joe Rook is leading this race so far. Takes a look over his shoulder and sees that he has about a kart length or 2 kart lengths. And Evan Batt is right there. Can Evan Batt make a move here? What do you think, Emery?
I think he's got the potential to, but Joe Rook, you cannot go against his racecraft. The last heat race, he was so good, and I feel like he's just been able to get just enough of a gap over the last lap and have to really kind of keep things calm. And it's going to take a miracle, I think, for Batt to be able to really force things in unless Rook makes a mistake in the backside of the track.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Joe Rook is defending his line right now, not letting Evan Batt see any daylight inside of the corners here. So Joe Rook coming over the hill here, going into the cell tower corner. Will Evan Batt make any moves? No, he won't in the cell tower. Still a few more corners left to go here. Evan Batt right behind him. This is only a pre-final, though. Remember, they don't give out trophies for the pre-final, so don't do anything too aggressive. You don't want to DNF and be able to and have to start at the back of the main, because that is not what you want, especially starting your championship run here for the Stars Championship Series. You want to stay consistent and have good finishes, as Joe Rook has 2 corners left to go to take the win in this Master Shifter class, and he will. Coming to the checkered flag, Joe Rook takes the checkered flag of the pre-final for the Master Shifters as the rest of them cross the line. Rod Clenard coming across the line in 4th as the rest of the field follows him through. Super impressive run from all of them. Rod Clenard included, did a 108.9, and he is in Group 2. He is on a rock engine. That is a little bit slower, but he also has 10 less pounds on his cart. But still, super impressive from Rod Clenard. His best finish of the weekend so far. But really, Joe Rook ran an amazing race, got up to the lead, and was able to take the lead and stay out front for the last 3 or 4 laps of this race. As we head into the next session, it'll be the KA Junior next up. You'll be watching Kart Chaser. I'll see you soon.
Group A Apparel, designed for the athlete in all of us. Check out more online at groupAapparel.com.
Parolin USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com. If you're looking for top-grade equipment, look no further than Rev Performance Materials engine mounts, sprockets, and arcade chains. Available online now at RevPerformanceMaterials.com and through a dealer near you. The highest quality material, built to the highest quality standards. Rev Performance Materials.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere, try to combine sort of the the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism, down with sort of some of the fun, sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com, and one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
Odenthal Racing Products, your #1 producer in engine mounts since 1992, along with our leading edge designs and product development, such as the Odenthal Racing Products EasyGP camera mount, which comes in 4 different styles and can be used on any karting platform. To see our products online, go to odenthalracing.com.
We are back here with Kart Chaser live in the booth. Me alongside Emery Lida. KA Junior Time pre-final. Looks like we have a good race in store for us. Eli Warren looks like to be rolling off the pole alongside of Max Taylor. They've been it's been interesting to say the least so far this weekend. A few incidents in the KA Junior division, but overall pretty clean racing. It's been very tight as well, so it should be a good race coming up in store for us.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a whole host of different leaders over the course of the weekend. You've got, obviously, John Antonino has been up front at times during the heat races. Ayrton Grimm has been up at the front a couple of times. Obviously had a big crash coming into turn 1 in the last heat race that saw him end up falling way down the order. And then, obviously, you've got a few other guys that have been right around there. I mean, obviously, you've got guys like Max Taylor. You've got other dudes in the same. Anthony Rivera as well has been in the mix. So a lot of fast karts in KA Junior. It's a pretty big field as well. Got a few guys that are going to be starting deeper, like Ayrton Grimm. I think he's starting about 14th or so. But certainly, I mean, he's going to have time in this pre-final and obviously in the final to make it up. So we'll see how it goes. But with Colin Warren or excuse me, not Colin Warren, Eli Warren and John Antonino on the front row, it's going to be an exciting race as they're getting set to go on the start, heading up to the start finish line.
Coming to the green flag. Lights are on. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go. We're racing into turn 1. We're green with KA Junior. Eli Warren leads the field into turn 1 as we head into. Oh, my. We got a lot of karts spun around. I don't think any of our front runners were involved in that, but Eli Warren did fall back to about 5th or 6th. Oh, and Austin Olds hits him up the track. We're 3 wide with Eli Warren and what looks to be Max Taylor and Davin Roberts as well. That looks like Henry Wheeler is off the track and getting out of his cart. That's unfortunate for him, but as our leaders come through, our new leader looks to be John Antonino, tiny but mighty. He is rolling through the kink right now and up into the cell tower. He won our last heat race, and he's been running up front in the pre-final so far in the first lap.
Yeah, and we've got Aiden Patty all the way up into second. I believe he started about 3 or 4 rows deep, so certainly a really good opening lap for him. But Antonino was able to grab the lead coming in out of turn 1 from Eli Warren. Warren got really shuffled pretty far back into the field, I would say. Then you've got just one more kart in that group, and then a big gap back to P4 onwards. That first lap was absolute carnage in the middle of the field. We got about 7 or 8 karts that were off in turn 1. A couple karts still off now, as now Aiden Patty takes a look behind him from P2, sees Luke Powers behind him in P3. Those front 3 are right there together. Will Patty make a move, or is he content to just ride behind John Antonino? Antonino had some experience leading the race in the last heat race, but obviously was very aggressive in his defense. But behind him, I mean, you've got Aiden Patty, you've got Luke Powers. All 3 of those guys have been around the top 10 all weekend. None of them have been really up at the front consistently from a pace standpoint, but Antonino in the last heat seemed to figure something out and looked really fast. Behind them, you've got Charlie Steins, Austin Olds in P5, Max Taylor still in P6, Davin Roberts in P7. The rest of the top 10, Sam Arsvicki in P8. Eli Warren has been shuffled all the way down to P9. So he's got a few laps to make it up. Obviously, it's a pre-final, but not the way he wanted to start the race from pole. And Hayden Kasman rounds out your top 10. So far through this race, as the top 3 continue to run.
Got a pass for 4th, Austin Olds to the inside, and he pushes. I think that's Charlie Steins off the racetrack. Charlie Steins back to about 15th after that shuffle. Really unfortunate for Charlie as he was running inside the top 5 for the first time this weekend, but he's going to have some work to do coming from the back now as he's got karts freight training him still. And John Antonino still leading the race. You can see over the bumps his kart's shaking, but still Aiden Patty in second and Luke Powers right there in third. Super impressive from Aiden Patty. He's been like 7th or 8th all weekend long as he's going for the lead on the front straightaway. John Antonino's going to have to give it to him now because he's on the inside. Aiden Patty to the lead. Book it. He's through.
Aiden Patty's able to get up to the race lead. I believe this might be his first time leading a national level junior race in his number 882 LN car. Obviously got a lot of pace on that thing. He's running in the top 10 throughout the weekend. We're going to see now, I believe that's Luke Powers going to the inside. He's going to make the move into the scoreboard. So Patty's initial lead is only about 3 corners long, and now Antonino's probably going to try him. Nope, he's going to stick behind Patty for now, but certainly those front 3 been mixing it up, but with the way that Austin Olds drove the last lap and the fact that there's a big gap because of it, now those 3 are still out in front despite the shuffling around, and we'll see what Olds can do now as Patty
back to the lead. Yeah, that was a good pass right there. Antonino's trying to roll the outside, and I think he's going to be able to make it work.
Around the outside of the double left. What a move by John Antonino. Very aggressive, got the job done. Now he sets sail in the lead. Patty's into P2 again. You've got Luke Powers in third, and now Austin Olds, because of all that fighting, is up in the lead, into the lead group as now Antonino drops a wheel coming out of the scale tower, and now as he comes in the final couple corners, he's got everyone bottled up, and I believe that's Eli Warren has made his way all the way back up into P5, and he's about to challenge that group into the top 4. So Warren, who had a really rough start to the race from the pole, is able to make himself all the way back up into the lead group as now Patty takes another dive down the inside into turn 1, gets the lead back again, and now John Antonino's back into P2. Will he stay there? Is he going to go right back into Monza? No. Patty's able to get the lead at least for 1 more corners. We'll see what happens now. Back into the scoreboard, and we can officially say that he's made it longer than he did last time in the lead.
Eli Warren
back up into
fourth,
P4.
Yeah. Super impressive from him. John Antonino hangs another tire, and Austin Olds is up his inside. Is Eli Warren going to follow? He will try, but he's not going to make it stick. Antonino hangs the outside on him. But while all this is happening, Aiden Patty is really starting to get himself a good gap right there. He's got about 4 or 5 kart lengths back to Austin Olds. We'll have to see if that gap he can manage that gap, but it looks like Austin Olds is a lot faster than him right now as he's catching up already through these 2 corners. But at third place, they're battling really hard back there. Antonino does not seem to have the pace that he did in the heat race. Eli Warren is right on his bumper as Antonino goes a little bit defensive, and Eli Warren is following closely behind him right there. Eli Warren's going to be anxious to make a move as they come through the last 2 corners here to complete lap number 4. Aiden Patty's leading the race. Behind him is Austin Olds and Eli Warren. Eli Warren throws his hand up in the air. Aiden Patty is leading the race still, but Eli Warren is not happy with Antonino. Antonino has been blocking him all race long, keeping him behind him. Antonino's been trying to stay in that lead pack because as soon as he starts going backwards, that momentum is just going to carry him further back, so he wants to stay up in the top 3 where he is right now. Meanwhile, the top 2 are just driving away from them as Antonino does not have the pace to run up there yet.
Yeah, and Antonino obviously in the heat race it worked out well because he had the track position, he had the speed, and he had the racecraft to be able to stick behind. Now doesn't quite have the track position he did. He doesn't quite have the speed that he did, and now he's just trying to rely on his blocking ability to keep Eli Warren behind. Warren's going to say no to that, dive down the inside. As we say that, also Austin Olds has worked his way up into the lead through the cell tower. Now there's going to be more battling as, again, around the outside, Antonino tried it in the double F. Eli Warren was a little bit more aggressive on it than Aiden Patty was. Stuffed him out on the outside, kept him from getting the position. Now Eli Warren is up into the P3. Meanwhile, Olds sets sail up at the front. We'll see if Patty can stick with him. It looks like Olds has quite a bit of pace in hand as Patty is struggling to keep up at the moment, but we'll see how that evolves. Eli Warren now heads the next group from 3rd to 7th as all of them have been battling for the last lap and just complete chaos going on in that group. As now you see down the inside goes Max Taylor on John Antonino coming into turn 1, gets the position. Antonino's slide continues. He just really looks like he's struggling with that kart right now.
Yeah, like I said, once you start going backwards, it's hard to get your momentum swung the right direction. Antonino is back to 5th place. He just got passed by Eli Warren and Max Taylor, it looks like, in the last lap. Antonino is going to try and hang on to those 2, and hopefully they will be able to run down the leaders and make this a 5-man show. But Max Taylor just passed Eli Warren. That is not helping their time right now. Aiden Patty and Austin Olds are driving away from the rest of the field as they go into the cell tower here. The 2 of them alone. Well, Max Taylor, Eli Warren, John Antonino, and that looks to be, who's that in 6th?
Luke Powers.
Luke Powers in 6th. So that's the 6 kart train that they are headed into the scale tower right now. But it looks like Max Taylor is starting to pull away from the rest of the field as they go through the grid corner right here. Can Max Taylor run down the top 2? We'll be able to find out here shortly.
Yeah, and it looks like Patty's kind of stabilized that gap now too. Austin Olds, the draft really helping him out there. Olds is really setting a good pace though in the mid-114s, although Eli Warren was purple. Now Charlie Steins from 9th goes purple, but he's way too far back to really have an impact on this race. But in the meantime, looking down to that second group, I mean, you've got a lot of fast karts in there, but at the moment, it looks like Max Taylor's found a way to work his way up to that P3 position. Eli Warren looks content to work with him for once, and obviously if those 2 continue to work together, I think they've got the pace to run down Aiden Patty and maybe even Austin Olds, because the 2 of them aren't quite as quick, I feel like, in clean air as what the other guys are doing. And certainly, I mean, Warren's been fast all weekend. He got shuffled back at the start of this race, but he's been able to work his way up through there. Max Taylor's another dude that's been in the top 5 consistently all weekend. He hasn't really taken too many shots up at the front of the field, but he's been all the way around that scene as well. Has a lot of the raw pace in that LN kart and certainly has the capability of getting up there. But first off, they've got to work together to get there, because at the moment, Olds and Patty seem content to run 1 and 2. Obviously, Aiden Patty seemingly is doing a lot better than what he was earlier in the weekend, and so in that case, maybe might be a little bit more content than usual to ride around as he loses a little bit of time by overdriving the S's there. But certainly, I mean, you're talking about Austin Olds being able to control this race at the moment. Looks like we're going to have about 3 more laps going on with this, and obviously Aiden Patty coming down. You can see that the gap between him and Max Taylor in 3rd has gone down. Taylor just did a 13.7, almost a full second quicker than what Aiden Patty and Austin Olds were able to do, and he's brought Eli Warren with him running that similar sort of pace. John Antonino as well has not completely lost them, although he and Luke Powers are maybe a little bit off the pace of what Taylor and Warren are able to do, but still Taylor's been just really quick over the last lap.
Yeah, Max Taylor is already up to the bumper of Aiden Patty, as you can see on screen. Austin Olds leading the race, but we'll see when Aiden Patty decides to make his move. If he wants to stay up front, he needs to make his move in the cell tower right here, or else Max Taylor is going to make the move first. We'll see if Aiden Patty is smart enough to do that, and he does not. Austin Olds goes to the bottom to defend his line. We have about 25 seconds to go. It's going to be really close to see if we get the 2 to go this time or next time by. And there goes Max Taylor. That's a very,
that was aggressive.
I don't know if that's where you want to make your
A little
move.
bit sketchy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where you want to make your move with 3 laps to go, because he lost a lot of time right there, and Austin Olds has a bit of a gap now again. He could have waited a few corners, and he would have been right there with Austin Olds once he got by Aiden Patty, but he decided to take it in the blue corner, and now 2 to go. They did make it in time, so 2 laps to go. Eli Warren and Max Taylor are up to P2 and 3, and John Antonino is now up to the lead pack. As you can see, John Antonino to the inside of Aiden Patty. And will he make it stick? No, he will not. But he's going to send Aiden Patty off the racetrack. Aiden Patty puts his hand in the air. He is not happy with John Antonino. I feel like John Antonino has not been making any friends out there this race, as Eli Warren has been unhappy with him, and now Aiden Patty is unhappy with him. But while all that is going on, Max Taylor is running down the leader of Austin Olds. There's about a lap and a half to go, as Max Taylor needs to hurry up if he wants to get this race win. Well, but like I said, this is only a pre-final, and they do not give out trophies for the pre-final. So Max Taylor needs to remember that he can be aggressive, but if he DNFs, then he's going to have to start the main event, which you do get a trophy for at the very back, and you do not want that to happen. But Max Taylor is on Austin Olds' bumper as we go through the carousel.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the speed that Taylor and Warren have had in this pre-final. It's incredible. They've been able to catch Austin Olds in only 1 lap, and obviously we thought Max Taylor's move might have been a little bit ambitious there, but when you have the pace to back it up, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do on this track. And obviously, I mean, as they come down to the white flag, we've seen this race has been really close up at the front, and now it's about to get even closer. As you come to the white flag, you've got a 3-car train now. Antonino not even that far behind him, 4th as well, with Luke Powers in 5th. Those top 3, it looks like he's going to go defensive, Austin Olds does, into turn 1 and keep Max Taylor pinned to the inside, but certainly Olds has everyone going at him right now. And as they come into the Monza corner, he's going to go defensive again. Might open up a switchback opportunity for Max Taylor. We'll see if he takes advantage of it coming down into the hairpin.
That was
a little bit
hit.
of content.
All right, Max Taylor goes around the outside. Will he be able to make it stick?
Oh, 3 wide coming out there briefly, and it looks like Warren's come up worse from it. But at the same time, Taylor able to get back into 2nd, and now Olds goes defensive in the green corner. That's going to allow for Taylor to get a good run, but when Olds is just parking at the apex of every corner, he's done a masterful job of keeping everyone behind him so far as they come up through the kink now. Taylor continuing to be on the bumper, but Olds is just doing such a good job of keeping the inside. Now Taylor's finally going to cross him over. He's going to try it. Does he have the wits to do the Antonino move? He's going to try to stick back and line in the double lefts. He's going to send it again.
Oh, he made this pass he made this pass 2 laps ago, and he just did it again. He's through to the lead. Max Taylor to the lead with 4 corners to go. He blocks the inside. As you can see, Max Taylor is now your new leader. Austin Olds back to the inside. He makes it work with 3 corners to go, 2 corners to go. Austin Olds, they're side by side going in the last corner. Will they wreck? No, they keep it on track. Drag race to the line. I think Austin Olds got it there.
Yeah.
Did he get that? I'm pretty sure Austin Olds took the win of that race. That was an amazing race. Austin Olds didn't block in the blue corner, and Max Taylor was able to get by. And then right after that, with 3 corners to go, Austin Olds passed him right back. Max Taylor forgot to block in the grid corner, and Austin Olds stuffed it in there and made it work. But then Max Taylor crossed him up and made it happen in the last corner. And then on a drag race to the line, Austin Olds was able to take the win. That was an interesting race and super entertaining from all these KA junior drivers.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously you're going to have a full final worth of this sort of racing, and Max Taylor and Eli Warren certainly had the pace, but Austin Olds with the racecraft, with the defending, able to make it work. As we head now to the next class, we're going to see the pro shifters come onto the course, see what kind of action they can do for their pre-final coming up next on Kart Chaser.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Rolling out for their pre-final is the Pro Stars class, including the KZ shifters and the Rock shifters. Starting on pole will be Vincenzo Saraceno alongside of Annie Rule. In third place, we have Talon Yockel and Calvin Ming rounding out your second row. Annie Rule has been super impressive so far this weekend. She had a little bit of a bobble in the second heat race in I-70, which cost her the pole position. She went from first to fifth, so she'll be rolling off second here alongside Vincenzo Saraceno, who was able to take the heat race win in heat 2. We'll see what he'll be able to do this time as he starts on pole and should be able to run up front. Talon Yockel has been struggling with the starts this race. We'll see if he'll be able to make up that. Oh, it looks, where's Annie Rule?
Looks like she might have an issue.
I think she's going slow, but she's still here. I don't know if she has an issue. Oh, that was almost close.
Almost
wow.
got into the back of Blake Hunt there coming out of the final corner, but we'll see how they grid up here and if she's able to take her grid spot or not.
She's trying to, but I don't know if. Yeah, she's
to
there,
her.
but she pointed the wrong direction, so that's going to hurt her a little bit on the start here. We'll see if she can still get it going. She's pointed towards the lake, so hopefully she can get that thing straight before we go green.
It's a little bit better for her than the. Hopefully, it goes a little bit better for her than the Rock Master guy that we saw in the lake earlier in the race.
Yep, visors are down. Lights are about to go on. Here we go, Rock shifter and KZ shifter. Ready, set, go. We're green to turn 1. Vincenzo Saraceno gets the whole shot, but Annie Rule is not that far. Oh, he gets sideways. Wow, Vincenzo Saraceno got way sideways through the kink right there. Andy Rule is the leader going into the Monza, but no that's Talon Yockel. Talon Yockel finally gets a good start when it matters and is in the lead into the Monza and going into the red 171 corner. He looks back, has a gap. Andy Rule's in second. Vincenzo Saraceno dropped 4 spots all the way down to 4th position here. When we go into the green corner, Talon Yockel's still leading this race.
Yeah, Yako has had a lot of pace all weekend long, but like you mentioned, the starts just have not been there for him. And now he's able to get out in the clear. We'll see if he's able to pull away. Saraceno had a good start, but it looked like he made a little bit of contact with Rule coming up into I-70. That sort of slowed both of them down, and then Rule got passed by Yako coming into the Monza. So still really good opening lap from Talon Yako to go from 3rd to 1st, kind of the inverse of what we've seen from him throughout the weekend. Saraceno's in a nice P2. We can settle down and hopefully start to chase down Talon Yako as well. Andy Rule's in P3. Calvin Ming looks like he's settled himself into P4. And there goes Ian Quinn on the inside of Parker DeLong coming into the second to last corner to take P5. Good run from Quinn so far as he's able to make up a spot or two on the opening lap with Blake Hunt right in tow. And so those guys are a little bit beyond the top 4, and certainly Yako's already started to kind of set sail towards as the leader of the race and sort of pull away from Vincenzo Saraceno.
Yeah, Yockel's been really fast so far this weekend, and he's showing it right now. He's 1.2 seconds out in front of Vincenzo Saraceno, but Saraceno does look really quick in this race so far. We'll have to see if he'll be able to run down Yockel, as Andy Rule is in 3rd, followed by Calvin Ming and Ian Quinn. Blake Hunt, the first of the Group 2, Rock Motors. He is leading that in 6th place overall. And behind him is Parker DeLong. Parker DeLong's shown some strength this weekend. He's led a couple of laps throughout the heat races and is now running in 7th. I think that's a little bit of a disappointment for him after how well this weekend's been going for him so far. And he gets passed again, as you can see that. Oh, he doesn't get through. Josh Conker tried, but doesn't make the pass stick. But still, Talon Yockel leading this race. But Vincenzo Saraceno looks really fast. Talon Yockel's been the fastest one this weekend, but right now it looks like Vincenzo Saraceno has the pace. So we'll see if this time by what the times look like. And yes, Vincenzo Saraceno 5/10 faster than Talon Yockel. I feel like every class we've watched this weekend, the leader has never really been the fastest. It's always the guy in 2nd running down the leader in a lot of these races we've been watching. But still, Andy Rule in 3rd, pulling away from Calvin Ming. Calvin Ming has a little bit less pace than what he was hoping for, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Talon Yockel kind of needs to channel his inner Larry Pegram and sort of roll the tide a little bit there, as it looks like Saraceno has the pace advantage early on in the race. We saw this last race with him against Andy Rule, where he was able to close in on her very quickly. Then maybe down the stretch, the tires faded a little bit. He kind of lost a little bit of ground and obviously still was able to clinch pole position for this race, but it wasn't necessarily pretty. Now, though, Saraceno has a lot of pace in hand. He closed in half a second on the last lap to Yockel. Looks like this lap maybe not quite as much of a closing, but certainly still very quick. And behind him, you've got Andy Rule and Calvin Ming as well. They look like they're sticking pretty close to what Yockel and Saraceno are running, at least from a pace standpoint. Rule in particular has been able to pull away from that second group of Ming and then Ian Quinn, Blake Hunt, Parker DeLong, and further back as well. But as they go around for another lap, Saraceno chops off a little bit off of Talon Yockel, but Yockel was on pace that time, only about 17 or 20 thousandths quicker than what Yockel was able to do. Andy Rule as well joins them in that same time frame. So all of your top 3 ran within less than 2 100ths between the 3 of them. So very close times between them, and they're just separated by a little bit on track. So Yockel continues to manage the lead. Obviously, Saraceno, it looks like he is pushing very hard in the opening part of this lap to close in on Yockel. And then behind them, Annie Rule continues to run her race. Obviously, a little bit disappointing for her to be mired back in 3rd after having a front row start. Looks like she got away pretty well and initially held the lead, but still, she's in it with a good shot to win it this weekend and has a lot of pace in that cart through 3 laps so far.
Yeah, Annie Rule sticking back there in 3rd. Vincenzo Saraceno still closing that gap for the lead. Talon Yockel trying to get everything he can out of that go-kart, but it looks like Vincenzo's able to get a little bit more out of his than Talon is able to on these opening laps. But Calvin Ming staying strong in 4th with Ian Quinn right there in 5th. Blake Hunt still your leader of Group 2 with the Rock engine making it work, but still Talon Yockel out front. We got about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in this race, so we'll see how many laps we're able to do. I would guess around 8 more to go, 7 more to go this time by.
Yeah, and at this point, Yockel is pretty clear that he doesn't quite have the pace of what Saraceno has so far, but still running pretty good times, a 107.5 for him last time. That's still only about a couple tenths off of what Saraceno was doing. Andy Rule is matching Jaakko, but not quite matching what Saraceno is able to do. I mean, it just shows like Saraceno is able to get just a little bit more traction than what Jaakko's getting coming through the corners. He's got a little bit better flow, especially on the first half of the lap. Some of the slower speed corners, you can see him visibly make up some time in the braking zone. Just has more confidence. But at the moment, Jaakko is still doing a fine job staying consistent, hasn't put a wheel wrong yet, and if his pace from the second half of the heat race earlier today carries over, he'll be in with a good shot of maintaining that lead. But still, Saraceno continues to make his charge. It looks like on this lap maybe Jaakko's been able to extend just a little bit more than what it was on the last lap. We'll see as they come around just to get confirmation on what that time is going to be, but it looks like Jaakko's been able to gain a little bit more on the lead. He has done a 4 and Saraceno's done a 107.7, so yes, he's gained about 2 tenths on Saraceno on that last lap. So good job by Jaakko to maintain the gap. It looks like he's doing a good job to just about hold off into the Saraceno. Down the order as well, you see Calvin Ming in P4s running a faster pace than what he's been running throughout the race, and now he's into the 7s. Ian Quinn at a 108.0. He is in P5 now, kind of pulled a little bit to Blake Hunt. Obviously, Blake's running a slightly different class, but still a little bit of a gap there. And then he's got a big gap to Parker DeLong in P7, who has struggled in this race after running as high as P1 in both of the heats. So a little bit disappointing for Parker, but again, it's sort of his first few times in a shifter, so obviously you're going to have some of that inexperience coming through. And obviously DeLong is raced up at the front this weekend, and I think in the final he's going to have the opportunity to continue to make his way up forward.
Yeah, definitely. Parker's been impressive so far this weekend. A little bit more on the struggle bus in this race, but still running inside the top 5 at a race, or the top 7 in a race like this is impressive to say the least. So Talon Jaakko still out front in this race, managing that gap to Vincenzo Saraceno. Saraceno's trying to get as much as he can out of that cart, but it's looking like it's starting to fall off a little bit as he goes only a tenth faster than Jaakko, and he's going to need a little bit more than that if he wants to win this race.
Yeah, and Jaakko certainly has had the pace and the consistency. I mean, looking through his laps ever since his tires came in, 107.7, 107.5, 107.4, 107.6 is really good in a shifter around this track. And so for him to be able to do that consistently just shows how comfortable he's in this car. Although at this point now, you see on one hand, you see that he's been caught by Saraceno, and Saraceno looks like he's going to make a move almost into the green corner, cannot quite make it stick, and he loses a little bit. Meanwhile, further back in the field, you see Parker DeLong is in a big mess from about 7th on back. I believe that's DeLong alongside Zach Frank and Josh Conker. 3 of the guys in that one as well, and they're just really fighting hard for that 7th position. Meanwhile, up front, though, Jaakko was able to sort of weather the storm a little bit with that Saraceno attack, and now he's back to being about 2 or 3 kart lengths ahead.
Yeah, Jaakko's still managing that gap here through the grid corner, coming through the last 2 corners to complete lap number 7. We have about 2 minutes left on the clock, so we should have about 4 laps left in this race, or 3 or 4 laps left in this race as we come across this time. Still, though, Annie Rule is starting to fall back a little bit. She's about 4 tenths off of Saraceno's lap times, as well as Calvin Ming. He's about 2 tenths off of Annie Rule, so not much going on further back in the pack. And Ian Quinn, Blake Hunt, and Zach Frank are all managing their gaps to each other. Not seeing much change as we look throughout the field, but still, Saraceno is right there on the leader. And Saraceno looks to the inside. Not going to make it happen that time, but he is right there putting the pressure on Jaakko, and Jaakko is feeling it as we go over the hill into the kink and into the cell tower. No changes for the lead yet, but they're right there on each other. We'll see if they make a move anywhere here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, certainly those last couple laps moves by Saraceno, obviously a little bit early in the pre-final and obviously still at the final, so you don't want to do anything too stupid, but that is something where you're starting to wonder if maybe in an actual final couple lap situation if Saraceno would have just booked it. You kind of gave Jaakko a lot of room on the outside, did not try to force the issue, but now as he comes to the last about 3 to go now, as there's less than a minute left on the timer, we're only going to get 2 more laps after this one, but certainly Saraceno's had the speed, he's had the opportunity in the green corner, and he's seemingly decided that it's not quite worth it to be able to just really press the issue, but I would expect with the amount of pace that he has had in the back half of this race that he's going to be able to try something on Jaakko. We'll have to see what happens. Is he going to try it into the scoreboard? Now Jaakko goes defensive. They almost make contact. They go on exit. It looks like Jaakko's got a little bit more traction, but he's going to get the lead. He kind of forces Saraceno all the way to the bottom of the track. Saraceno tries again into green corner, and for the 3rd time in a row, it does not quite work out for him, and now Jaakko has about a kart length. So that was really tight stuff there. A little bit on edge from Jaakko in the sense that he was right on the verge of making contact on the inside of the corner. Certainly a risky play this early in the heat, or in a pre-final race, but still, Jaakko decided to go really aggressive on defense, and it worked. And now he's got a little bit of a gap to Saraceno, although Saraceno's been really good the last couple laps through this part of the track to gain himself back some time as they come into the final 3 corners. See, just his ability to turn in is just allowing him to gain time on Jaakko on entry to corners, and that's really been important in the back half. As I say that, though, turns a little bit early, hits the curb coming out of the last corner, but now Saraceno's only about a kart length back coming in at I-70. Not going to look there, I don't think. But these last few laps, he's been really good on the stretch from Monza to the green corner, and we'll see now, is he going to make a lunge into the scoreboard or Monza? Not into Monza, but he gets a little bit better out on Jaakko. He should have an opportunity here if Jaakko doesn't go defensive. Jaakko does defend a little bit, but he's a little bit too far back. Now Saraceno tries really hard to get to the inside. As they come out to green corner, he's going to try again. Is it the 4th time, the successful one? He makes a stip. Not the first time, not the second time, not the 3rd time Talon Jaakko was able to stay ahead, but the 4th time Saraceno finally makes it happen, gets into the race lead with less than 2 laps to go. He's going to have this in the clear now. He's got about 3 kart lengths out of Jaakko, and Jaakko continues to kind of fall back a little bit on the backside of this track. We'll see if Jaakko has one more go at it, but a really nice move by Saraceno to finally take advantage of his speed coming through the green corner and get that position.
Yeah, Jaakko was the master of the outside the first 4, 5, 6, 7 laps of this race, but Saraceno finally was able to make it happen in the green corner after 2 attempts previously. So they're going to get the white flag this time by 1 lap to go. Saraceno leading this race. Your pole sitter is back in the lead after a little bit of a bobble on the first lap. Well, he goes defensive, and he has a bit of a gap there. Kind of a interesting strategy there to go defensive, even though he had about a 2 or 3 kart length gap. But we'll see if it pays off for him as he goes to the Monza. Still got a gap back to Talon Jaakko in 2nd place. Talon Jaakko's not quite close enough to make a move into the red 171 hairpin. Still, though, Talon Jaakko in 2nd. Andy Rule has also been caught by Calvin Ming as Calvin Ming goes to the inside, not going to make it happen. Back for 3rd. As there's 2 battles going on right now as we look throughout the field in 2nd and for the 3rd place position. Still no, Talon Jaakko not able to make anything happen as they go through the double left here. Still not close enough. Talon Jaakko is trying everything he has to try and get around Saraceno. Saraceno defends. Talon Jaakko is going to have to run down the back straightaway, but still not enough to make it happen as they go through the left-hander here. Not gonna be close enough. Saraceno defends it, and Jaakko is just going to have to settle for 2nd at this point, unless something in this last corner, and it's not going to happen. Saraceno is going to take the pre-final win in the KZ Stars category. Here they go across the line. The rest of the field filing in line. Josh Conker coming across the line to finish in the 8th position as Parker DeLong finishes 9th. Rounding out your top 10, Gavin Ibby. And Talon Jaakko had to settle for 2nd there. Still another race later today in the KZ Stars class. It's been really close so far this weekend. Andy Rule rounds out your top 3 with Calvin Ming and Ian Quinn rounding out your top 5. Blake Hunt 6th and Zach Frank coming in 7th. Behind that, Brian Bully back in 11th, Blake Korth 12th, Kyle Kennedy 13th, Evan Poliski in 14th, and Robbie Campbell rounding out your top 15 here in the KZ Stars class. Looking forward to the race later today. It's been an interesting class, to say the least. The top 2 really close in time, and I mean even the top 3, top 4, Calvin Ming and Andy Rule started closing in at the end of that race. But this was going to be a good one to watch later today, and we're going to go to a commercial break right here. You're watching Kart Chaser.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere, try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun, sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com, and one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
Odenthal Racing Products, your #1 producer in engine mounts since 1992, along with our leading-edge designs and product development, such as the Odenthal Racing Products EasyGP camera mount, which comes in 4 different styles and can be used on any karting platform. See our products online. Go to odenthalracing.com.